The second application is fine.
Good? Ready? Everything good? Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City hybrid hearing on the subcommittee on zoning and franchises. Please silence all electronic devices at this time. If you have any question, please raise your hand and one of us, the Sergeant at Arms, will kindly assist you. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Oh, that's the beach.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the meeting of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises. I am Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee. I am joined by Councilmember Shulman, Salam, Carr, Abreu, Caban, and remotely Moya. Today we are scheduled to hold 3 hearings. We will first hear a request for an Article 11 tax exemption involving an affordable housing project known as Marcus Garvey, located in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. We will then hear a proposal that consists of a residential mixed-use development known as 21st Street in Astoria, Queens. The third and final proposal, known as MSK Pavilion, seeks to build a new hospital building within the Memorial Sloan Kettering campus on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. I will now go over hearing procedures. This meeting is being held in a hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or through Zoom. Members of the public wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council's website at www.council.nyc.gov/landuse to sign up. And for those of you here in person, please see one of the Sergeant at Arms to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting at the Council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you are joining us remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by myself to speak. When you are recognized, your microphone will be unmuted. Please take a moment to check your device and confirm that your mic is on before you begin speaking. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. I repeat that again. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony you would like to submit to the subcommittee to consider, or if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing in person, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Written testimony may be submitted up to 3 days after the hearing is closed. Please indicate the LU number and or the project name in the subject line of your email. We request that the witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by myself, as council members may have questions. Lastly, for everyone attending today's meeting, this is a government proceeding and decorum must be observed at all times. Members of the public are asked not to speak during the meeting unless you are testifying. The witness table is reserved for people who are called to testify, and no video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in hearing record. I will now open the first public hearing on the pre-considered LU relating to the Marcus Garvey Article 11 request in Councilmember Osei's district in Bed-Stuy. The New York City Department of Housing Development and Preservation is seeking an Article 11 tax exemption to facilitate the development of 2 affordable housing buildings. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the Council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Okay. I will now call on the applicant panel for a proposal which consists of, I'm sorry, I can't read your hand right. Arvin? All right. Consists of Arvin. Council, please administer the affirmation.
Could you please raise your right hand and state your name for your record?
Arvind Sindwani, Director of Land Use, HPD.
Do you swear to state the, please keep your right hand. Do you please swear to state the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to member questions?
I do.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of your presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I just want to state for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Menon. And now the applicant team may begin. I'll just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
My name is Arvind Sindwani, Director of Land Use Planning and Development in the HPD Division of Government Affairs. I'm also joined by two partners from the Paths Development team virtually today.
Arvin, are they testifying too, or? All right, so we're gonna have to swear them in.
We have two other people.
Just give me 1 second.
Zoom, could you please show the two HPD representatives online also? Thank you.
I believe the room will need to do that.
Well, it says I do, but it's like nothing's working.
Arvin, what are their names?
Max Zarin from Paths Development.
Max?
Zarin, Z-A-R-I-N.
Why don't we get started with your testimony, and then when you're ready to switch it over to your colleagues, just let us know, and hopefully we can solve
thing.
this technical issue.
Yeah. HPD requests that the council approve pursuant to Section 577 of the Private Housing Finance Law an exemption from real property taxation for the project known as 281 to 311 Marcus Garvey Boulevard, a previously approved private rezoning application. The lots are located at 281 and 311 Marcus Garvey Boulevard. The project obtained a previous council approval for a zoning map amendment, a zoning text amendment, and a city planning commission special permit for large-scale general development. To reach the deep affordability committed to on this project, the project sponsor, Paths Development, is pursuing an Article 11 tax exemption. The proposed development will consist of 2 new construction residential buildings with a total of 155 affordable rental units. The proposed development will include a mix of studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments. Income tiers range from 30 to 80% area median income, as well as a set aside for formerly homeless households. The proposed development will provide 27,500 square feet of landscaped open space and 30,000 square feet of commercial and community facility space.
Do you need us
Is
to?
that the end of your testimony?
Okay.
Do you need to pass it to anyone, or that was it?
So I can pass it to the development team on Zoom to go through the slide deck as well.
Okay, so let's try this one more time.
Okay.
We're gonna need a minute, so please wait. Okay, we finally have somebody on Zoom. Hello, can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Great. Can you please state your name for the record?
Sure, my name is Max Zarin.
And can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you. You may present.
May I share my screen? Or even better. Great. Hello, and thank you committee members, for your time today. As I said, my name is Max Zarin. I am SVP of Development with Paths Development, and we're here today seeking an Article 11 for the proposed Marcus Garvey Boulevard apartments. We can move to the next slide. As Arvind said, this project is comprised of 155 units of affordable housing spread across 2 buildings that are proposed to be developed on existing lots owned by Paths that currently house small commercial properties. These new buildings, in addition to the 155 units of affordable housing set aside for households earning between 30 and 80% of AMI, would also feature over 30,000 square feet of commercial and community facility space, along with a network of 5 open spaces, both adjacent to the new properties and woven throughout the existing Betty Shabazz and Medgar Evers properties, which are also affordable housing properties owned by Paths. You can see them in the image with the green and blue parapets. And those 5 spaces together would total about 27,000 square feet of new open space for residents. As Arvind said, this project received a ULURP approval in May. Next slide, please. The ULURP upzoned the site from R6A and R6B to a R7A with a C24 overlay along Marcus Garvey, and instituted a large-scale general development plan allowing us to move some of the bulk around the site, as well as secure some modifications for height and setback, as well as some relief from parking requirements. Next slide, please. Building A will feature 84 units of affordable housing, along with some ground floor community facility space, for which we envision the occupant to be a boxing gym that currently occupies the existing commercial property on the space and has been a longtime tenant in that building and anchor for this community. On the second floor would be approximately 11,000 square feet of community facility space, for which we envision a daycare or similar use. Next slide, please. Building B will have 71 units of affordable housing, also with ground floor retail space, for which we're pursuing a grocery store occupant, and maybe the grocery store currently occupying the commercial property on this parcel. Next slide, please. Without going into too much detail here, as Arvind noted, these properties are comprised of units ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms, concentrated primarily amongst the studios 1s and 2s. And the income distributions for this building, or these 2 buildings, I should say, follow the guidelines of HPD's ELA term sheet, with about 15% of the units set aside for formerly homeless households, and the remainder split pretty equally between extremely low income and very low income households and low income households. Next slide, please. We're seeking the Article 11 exemption for this project for a number of reasons. As we've continued to see other operating expenses increase drastically in recent years, such as insurance and payroll, being able to limit the property taxes will be a huge benefit to the operations of the property on an ongoing basis. Doing so will also allow us to size a larger permanent first mortgage, limiting the need for valuable HPD resources. And if we're able to secure the Article 11 exemption, it also gives us a little bit more flexibility with HPD to structure different financings, whether we pursue financing using tax-exempt bonds and 4% tax credits, or pursue a structure that uses only city subsidy. And last, at a high level, whether it's the construction budget or the ongoing operations budget, we do strongly believe that securing this exemption will allow us to focus our resources on the things that are most important to our residents, creating and maintaining high-quality housing with high-quality amenities and a safe and secure living environment for our residents. I thank the subcommittee very much for their time today. Happy to answer any questions that the members may have.
Thank you so much, Max. I just have one question. When do you expect the project to be completed?
So right now we're progressing through pre-development. We're in design right now, as well as completing other due diligence. And we're working closely with our partners at HPD to coordinate with them and have this project be slated into their closing pipeline. Based on the most recent conversations that we've had, it seems that the earliest potential start date for this project would be December 2025, in which case the project would complete construction at the end of 2027.
So December 2025 to December 2027.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do any council
Thank
members
you.
have any questions? Okay. There being no questions, regarding the special permit application related to the Marcus Garvey Article 11, this panel is now excused. Council, are there any members in person or online who want to testify on this item?
No, Chair, there is no one online or in person who wishes to testify regarding this Article 11.
There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on the preconsidered LU relating to the Marcus Garvey Article 11 request, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. I will now open the second public hearing on the preconsidered LUs relating to the 21st Street rezoning proposal in Councilmember Caban's district in Astoria, Queens. The proposal consists of a mixed-use residential development with approximately 92 apartments. The rezoning would involve the mapping of a mandatory inclusionary housing, and as a result, part of the new housing would be affordable apartments. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would like to submit written testimony, you can also do so by emailing to landustetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I would now I'd like to allow Councilmember Caban to give some remarks regarding this project.
I will be super brief. I'm just going to allow folks to present on it. I have a couple of questions, but we have been in communication early and often, and that has been much appreciated. And I think this is a unique and doesn't happen very often, and MIH affordable project for home ownership. So excited to hear y'all present.
Thank you, Council Member. I would now like to call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Jacqueline Scarinisi. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. Council, please administer the affirmation.
Could you please state your name for the record and raise your right hand?
Jacqueline Scarinci.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today in response to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landustetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. I'll just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record.
Sure. Good afternoon, Jacqueline Scarinci of Ackerman LLP on behalf of Astoria Park Warehouse to present the 21st Street rezoning application. Next slide. Just to orient everyone to the site, we're located in Astoria within Community District 1. The rezoning area includes two development sites that are owned by the applicant, one along 21st Street, which is the former Ricardo's by the Bridge catering facility, and across the street, which is currently used as open parking and used to be the former Ricardo's parking site. So they're both predominantly underutilized sites in this area of Astoria. Really excited to revitalize and bring new housing and ground floor commercial activity to this area, especially along this 21st Street corridor, which is an active corridor within Astoria. Next slide. Just to give you an overview of the area map shows just north of the site has an R7A mapped. It's just south of Astoria Park, which is an enormous 60-acre park with both passive and active resources for the community, and also it is located within the transit zone, well served by transit here. The NW is an 8-block walk away, but there's multiple buses, Q69, Q100, Q19, M60, that all serve the area. Next slide. This just shows the existing conditions. Ricardo's by the Bridge actually went out of operation during COVID, and the site's been vacant since then. Next slide. Just additional photos of development site 2, which is vacant parking. Next slide. So the land use actions that we're requesting here are rezoning from the existing R5B and R5D to an R6A C14 commercial overlay. Moving to the next slide. Here, and we're also requesting a zoning text amendment to map mandatory inclusionary housing areas options 1 and 2. Next slide. The development site 1 is proposed for a new mixed-use residential and ground floor commercial development. As the council member stated, we are doing this project as a home ownership project, and the MIH component will also be affordable home ownership, which is somewhat unique because most projects, new MIH projects, are being built as rental projects. So this presents as a unique opportunity to provide housing and there's still community board preference for units for community board 1 to have a home ownership opportunity. And we also are providing 23 accessory parking spaces for development site 2. Moving to the next slide. Similar scale, this will be a 7-story new development with 35,000 square feet of residential floor area, 38 dwelling units, 12 permanently affordable home ownership units, and 18 accessory parking spaces with 7,900 square feet of local retail. And then moving to the next slide. This just gives the overall unit distribution, recognizing that there's a need for a balance of family size units and studios and 1-bedrooms for singles and seniors. Next slide. And if there's any questions, happy to answer.
Thank you. You just answered my first. I wanted to know what is the breakdown of unit sizes you are proposing, but you just answered that one. The proposed development includes 41 parking spaces. Are these parking spaces all required by the proposed zoning?
So 34 are required. The applicant is proposing 41, but we recognize that in consultation with Councilmember Caban, we've been looking at the parking and we'll reduce the number of parking spaces down to what's required, 34.
And you know how much units that would produce more?
We haven't done an analysis of increasing the number of units. I think, especially with City of Yes, there's a lot of things in flux right now, but I think that that is a really good point. It can create additional units, and that's something that by taking away some of the parking, we can create more housing.
Okay. You're planning for a rather commercial space. Do you know what type of business you're looking for that space?
At this point, they're just looking for local retail, but I think as the project develops, we can definitely speak with Councilmember Caban and Board 1 and really see what the need is within the community for these local spaces.
Thank you. Councilmember Caban?
Yes, thank you. A couple of questions for you, and going to follow up on Chair Riley's question around the parking spaces. I've said many times how I feel about the parking space. You actually in your presentation talked about how transit-rich the area is, and between the walk to the NW train, but also the express bus on 21st Street. There's a couple of cross town buses, and in addition to that, it's very close to the ferry, which is a very quick commute into Manhattan. So he asked about what was required, lowering down to 34, but should the zoning for housing opportunity pass and remove those parking minimums, how are y'all thinking about the change to the inclusion of parking in that number?
Yeah, I know the owner unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he's very actively looking at reducing the parking even further should City of Yes go through. I think just at this point, not knowing if it's required or not, and then also just kind of allowing some flexibility for market conditions, because it will be a home ownership, and some homeowners may want to have the option of a parking space. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I do think the only pushback I'll have on that is that I would assume that, you know, in a lot of these for home ownership opportunities, parking is important because it increases the value of your property. But in an MIH home ownership option, you can only resell at a certain degree of profit, and so it kind of takes away sort of that incentive. So I just want to note that. But I know that you had the number of apartments sort of listed, the breakdowns, and I saw the numbers there, but I'm just curious because I don't remember what the community board requested. I know that they made a request for a minimum of 3-bedroom MIH units, and so my question to y'all is, are you able to meet that request that they made?
So we are providing.
I think
Oh no,
colleagues trying to get your attention.
Sorry. Yes. So no, I believe the community board asked for one additional 3-bedroom
Okay.
unit, and so I think that is something that we're still looking into at this time.
Okay. And then I just have one more question. I'm going to be really honest with you. I didn't know a lot about the MIH home ownership program. And so, like, hats off to the land use division of the council who, like, sat me down and schooled me. And so I know that you're proposing to map MIH option 1 and 2 here, and usually I don't like to see option 2 mapped because it doesn't effectively reach the need levels of affordability. But based on what I have learned and now understand about the home ownership MIH program, I understand that option 2 is more compatible with a home ownership project. So we're prepared to map that option here. But if this at some point, should this building be a rental building, I want to make sure that it is developed under MIH option 1. So are you prepared to develop the potential rental pursuant to MIH option 1 should that happen?
Yes, the applicant is prepared to commit to doing option 1 if this were to be a rental project.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Caban. Are there any more questions from the subcommittee? There being no more questions, this applicant panel is excused. Thank you so much for testifying.
Thank you.
Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this project? In person or through Zoom?
Neither, Chair.
There being no members of the public who wish to testify on the preconsidered LUs regarding the 21st Street rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. I will now open up the third and last public hearing on the LUs 132 through 136. Oh, before I do, sorry, Council. Can I ask these 3 people who are signed up to testify to please see the sergeants? Daniela Mendoza, Roger McLean, and Paul Stanbridge. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
That's not a complete list, right?
No. No. We just need them to indicate something on that. I will now open the third and last public hearing on the LUs 132 through 136 relating to the MSK Pavilion rezoning proposal in Councilmember Menace District on the Upper East Side. The proposal seeks to replace 2 existing buildings used for staff housing and administrative support services within the campus of the Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital. The new building would focus on surgical services. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit a written testimony, you can always do that by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I would now like to allow Councilmember Menon to give any remarks regarding this project.
Thank you so much, Chair, for holding today's important hearing. The Memorial Sloan Kettering Pavilion rezoning would facilitate the development of a new hospital building located on the east side of Manhattan at York Avenue between 66th and 67th Street. It's important to note that this ULURP application was first proposed in 2001, and the City Planning Commission was to hold its hearing on this item on September 12th, 2001. We obviously all know what happened on that tragic day of 9/11. Since that time, New York City and the United States has been in the midst of an ongoing crisis as cancer rates and projections unfortunately soar. New York City is currently experiencing 40,000 new cancer cases annually. To meet the anticipated increase in the need for cancer care, the applicant proposes a 31-story building with approximately 28 operating rooms and 206 patient beds. The new building, which would be known as the MSK Pavilion, would rise to a height of 550 feet or 594 feet, including mechanical equipment at the roof. Community Board 8 of Manhattan approved this rezoning by a vote of 24 in favor, 11 opposed, 1 abstention, but with conditions that concern the height of the building's sustainability or carbon footprint, the use of union labor, and a need for MSK to mitigate construction impacts, including traffic, noise, and dust, among others. The board recommended that MSK meet regularly with the community and enter into an agreement for community benefits that address these concerns. It's my understanding that the applicant has had preliminary conversations with and has general support from building trade organizations. I greatly appreciate the applicant's efforts, and I urge the applicant to continue these conversations with unions and other labor entities so that project labor agreements can be fully executed. I want to echo the concerns from Community Board 8 that I mentioned before and of other residents who have contacted my office as well as other stakeholders. Although this community and certainly the whole of New York City needs and absolutely deserves cutting-edge, life-saving care to address the cancer crisis, MSK must be a good neighbor to the residents, the students, and others that call this community home. Many stakeholders are very concerned about the height of the proposed building. This building is by any standard very tall. If this building is approved, it will certainly have construction impacts. Ensuring the safety and the health of nearby residents and students is of absolute paramount importance, and more needs to be done given the sheer size of this building. I have been working for months with the community, with PS 183, and with MSK to negotiate significant construction mitigation that exceeds environmental requirements so that we do everything in our power to protect the health, safety, and well-being of our residents and of our students. At today's hearing, I look forward to the applicant responding to these concerns and answering the committee's questions. I want to thank the chair for allowing me to speak, and I look forward to today's hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Menon. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of, and please excuse me if I butcher your name, Dr. Sylvan Vickers, Dr. Jeffrey Draben, Shelley Friedman, Justin Boyer, Rob Masters, and Elizabeth McNulty. Oh, and Roger McLean. Roger, I just need you to fill out can you get him a form, please?
Actually, could you also bring up 2 extra forms for Justin Bauer and Rob Masters?
Yes.
Did you fill out a form? Yes. Okay. Would you mind just refilling it? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Justin could not be here today at the last moment. His partner, Paul Stanfield.
Oh, so Justin's not here. What's your name?
Paul Stanbridge.
Paul Stanbridge. Oh, that's the name I called.
Yep.
So, okay. All right. Thanks. Counselor, can you please administer the affirmation?
Okay, we have a lot of people here, so why don't we go from right to left, and then, but you can all raise your right hand and please state your name starting from right to left.
Elizabeth McNulty.
Paul Stanbridge. Rob Masters.
Shelley Friedman.
Selwyn Vickers. Jeff Drebin.
Roger McLean.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need an accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. I'll just ask you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. Before you begin, there's a live view, and I need you guys to talk into the mic. So, Roger, just turn that one around to you. Oh, you got one? All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Sergeant. Apologize. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Chairman Riley, Councilman Menon, and the rest of the council members. It's a pleasure for us to be here. I'm Selwyn Vickers. I'm the CEO and president of Memorial Sloan Kettering. I'm a pancreatic cancer surgeon, and both in my career where I grew up and where I've really practiced, I'm a health disparities researcher, so access and disparities have been a part of my career and my life journey. I have the privilege to serve Memorial Sloan Kettering, which I think you've heard is a old cancer center. It's 140 years old, and it's had the privilege to focus on a singular mission of ending cancer for life. Many would argue Memorial is an American treasure, but fortunately, it's New York centric. Greater than 85%, nearly 85% of our patients are New York City resident, area residents. So although we have a broad reach, the vast majority of the people we take care are in this area. In addition, we've focused, and I certainly have promoted, that we are a cancer center for all of New York, all boroughs, all zip codes, all races, all incomes, and we've worked very hard to make that a reality. That's also driven not only by words. For nearly 8 to 10 years before I got here, Memorial lobbied in Albany for managed Medicare organizations to negotiate with us. They refused to do so until the bill was passed and enacted in 23. And so we've grown significantly in the access of people who can come to Memorial. So millions now have access to arguably what people would say is the world's best cancer care. That commitment for us is the reason that we've looked to actually address what is nearly a 50-year-old hospital that, as you heard, we thought about building several years ago. But now we know for multiple reasons it must be built because of the impending and large number of cancer diagnoses. In fact, nearly 2 million cancer diagnoses this year. By 2030, probably nearly 50,000 diagnoses in New York, and probably a 50% increase by 2050. That's paramount because 10,000 people a day are turning 65. That's the highest incident of cancer that we know. Compounded the fact that people younger than 30 and 40 are having a massive increase of cancer diagnosis. And Memorial was the first cancer center in the country to develop a clinic for cancer for young people. So with that area and that challenge, we've actually want to be able to present a message of why this pavilion is necessary. I would shudder to think that anyone's loved one would not be able to access our hospital that now is over 100% occupied, not even addressing the numbers that are changing. We routinely run over 100% occupied. I'd really hate to ever see someone not be able to access the care we provide because we don't have the space. It's in light of that that we bring forward this request for the pavilion. I'd like now to turn this over to my colleague, Dr. Jeff Drebin, head of surgery. Thank you, Dr. Vickers. I'm Jeff Drebin, the chair of the Department of Surgery. I want to thank Chair Riley, Councilmember Menon, and the other members of the council for having us today. I've been intimately involved in planning the pavilion for a number of years, and this is really because we could see the need for increasing cancer care in New York. If we could go to slide 2, please.
As Dr. Vickers noted, we're predicting that cancer rates will rise by 50% by 2050. And I should emphasize, it's not just we're predicting, the CDC is predicting, a variety of organizations have all in agreement. Cancer rates are rising. This bar graph shows current rates and future rates, and what you can see in light blue are the current rates, in dark blue the future rates, and you can see it's going to go up across every age range. The different groups of bars range from the younger population under age 50 to the group over age 85. And we know not only that we're going to see a 50% increase over the next 25 years, but that 1 out of 3 women and 1 out of 2 men will get cancer in their lifetime. So everyone here can look around and look around them and know that cancer is going to affect virtually all of us, all of our families, all of our loved ones. And it's to manage that growth in the cancer population that we ask for the permission to build the pavilion. Right now, as Dr. Vickers mentioned, we're frequently at 100% occupancy from Monday night until Friday night. And over the weekend, we drop into the 90s and we go right back up again. We're able to handle people who come to us for care now, but we won't be able to handle an increasing number in the coming years without improved facilities. And I want to have Liz McNulty, who's Director of Acute Care Nursing, talk to us just briefly about what it's like to have such a challenge just getting patients in for care and managing them in a full hospital.
Hi, thank you for having us today. I'm Liz McNulty. I've been a nurse at MSK for the past 30 years, and I have led nursing teams and cared for our patients really through lots of change in those 30 years. And what we're seeing now is really an increase, as you've heard from both Dr. Vickers and Dr. Drebin, an increase in the number of patients who are requiring our care. The pavilion is really what we need right now to really answer the call that we are being asked. The projected surge in cancer cases through 2050 will affect all of our patients, but especially our youngest and our oldest patients. And it really requires us to scale up our resources, specifically our treatment facility. And the surge is being felt now, as you've heard about our census capacities. With the number of cancer patients requiring surgeries in acute care and inpatient setting, we really need to begin the work on the pavilion as soon as we can. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn it back to Dr. Drebin.
Thanks, Liz. So Liz has sort of mentioned why we need the pavilion. Let me tell you what the pavilion is, and if I could have the next slide, please. The pavilion is not a freestanding hospital. It's not a completely independent facility. It's an extension of our existing hospital. It is tall, but it's rather shallow because of existing space constraints. And it's designed to serve the patients we know are going to need in our care in the coming years. I should emphasize this isn't a goal to capture the cancer market in New York. Quite the opposite. This is to enable us to grow our care capacity by 50%, which every cancer institution is going to have to do, because the reality is we're going to be seeing a lot more cancer. The pavilion has a lot of operating rooms. It has patient beds. It has some facilities specific to the treatment of those patients. It has no offices. It has no outpatient infusion or treatment centers. It doesn't even have a flower shop. It is entirely devoted to the care of our cancer patients. And the design was really made not by saying what's the biggest building we could build. Quite the opposite. We said, what's going to happen to cancer? How does that reflect on our share of the cancer market? And what's that going to require us to be able to provide in the coming decades? And the pavilion, therefore, has this plan for 28 new operating and procedural rooms, over 200 individual patient rooms, including more ICU beds. And this is just a picture you can see of a very crowded operating room. The technology we have in the operating rooms these days includes surgical robots, which are both tall and wide, require visualization panels. There is no robot in this building. That little arch you see in the corner is a C-arm radiology instrument. That's one of the smallest ones we have. And you can see that the amount of instruments, the amount of equipment we have in operating rooms requires more space, and as we anticipate even more complex surgeries in the decades to come, that will become even more critical. So again, the issue of height has been brought up. The reality is we need every inch of this building to meet the growing demands for cancer care that we're staring down. The building was not designed to be the biggest building we could possibly design. It was really the minimum of what we could build to care for the patients who we know are going to both need and deserve our care in coming decades. If we could, we would actually build a bigger building. But this is sort of a minimum number that we think we will be able to meet the cancer needs of the New York community. And to tell you a little bit more, I want to transition to Rob Masters from Canon Design.
Thanks, Dr. Drebin. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rob Masters. I'm a principal with Canon Design. I'm the lead healthcare architect for the MSK Pavilion design team. If we could move to the next slide, just talk a little bit in further detail about some of the design drivers that respond to the needs that Dr. Drebin spoke about. On screen, you can see a floor plan and astride of it a sectional diagram of an OR or an operating room that would be located in the pavilion. Just as Dr. Drebin indicated, we need square footage in the room to accommodate the multidisciplinary, the clinical team, as well as all of the clinical instrumentation, including imaging and robotics, that are necessary to deliver the cutting edge care that the clinical teams at MSK deliver every day. In addition to the floor plate, the footprint of that OR requiring accommodating all of that personnel and equipment, we also have floor-to-floor height necessary to accommodate that equipment as well, both within the room to accommodate robotics, ceiling-mounted equipment, and infrastructure distribution and delivery systems, the lights and the booms that allow the surgical teams to perform the care, but above the ceiling as well, where we have structural requirements to support that equipment, the mechanical systems that drive the required air changes to those rooms and provide the clinical environment necessary for surgical care, and the structural infrastructure in the building that allows to support all of that load and also maintain the vibration criteria necessary to deliver surgical care. So all of that, both below and above the ceiling, is driving the height of a typical operating room floor. Next slide, please. Similarly, on the bed floors, we have that same clinical criteria driving both the footprint for the individual patient rooms as well as the floor-to-floor height driving the construction of the overall building. So our rooms are designed for the minimum criteria, the minimum clearances necessary for intensive care unit patient rooms. That will be an element of and really the driving organizing element for the patient floors in the building. We have similar overhead booms in those rooms. We have similar infrastructure requirements supporting the air systems, the medical gas systems, et cetera, and similar structural requirements to maintain the vibration and the structural criteria for clinical care. So whether we're talking about an operating room floor or a patient bed floor, we have those same criteria. Next slide, please. I just wanted to look at the overall floors for a moment to really demonstrate the clinical density of these floor plans. As Dr. Drebin indicated, there's no office space or administrative space that goes beyond the core clinical requirements on these floors. So you can see on this floor plan, the complete perimeter is occupied by all of the patient bedrooms. The very Spartan core in the middle is providing all of the clinical support space, the clean utility, the medication rooms, the nursing stations, all of the things that we need to be able to deliver care on those floors and take care of the 24 beds that are located on each of the floors. Next slide. Similarly, on the operating room floors, we have a very dense plan with 5 operating rooms organized around a very small, very dense, clean core that provides the supplies to the surgical procedures, with preoperative prep spaces along the north end, and again the clinical support spaces that are required for those elements. Not an inch is spared on these floors that doesn't drive the clinical program that is required for the care delivery in the building. Next slide. So lastly, I just wanted to show how that starts to stack up in the overall building section. As you can see, the green floors are our surgical floors and surgical support floors. The blue floors are the bed floors for the patient rooms above. And then those gray bars in between represent that mechanical and structural infrastructure space above ceiling. So whether we're talking about the full gray floors that support the primary mechanical equipment in the building, or that individual dark gray strata above every floor providing that critical infrastructure, all of that is really the required space that's driving the height of the building. I'd like to turn it over to Paul Stambridge to talk a bit about the building design.
Thank you, Rob. Again, I'm Paul Stambridge. I'm with Foster & Partners. I'm one of the architects working on the project in conjunction with Canon and AAI Architects. We have 3 renderings to show you today. Next slide, please. So here we have a skyline view taken from the East River looking west. You can see how the pavilion as an architectural form fits into the context of the Upper East Side and is juxtaposed to the Midtown skyscrapers beyond and to the left. We're really trying to create something that is noble and elegant and timeless, and that changes with the daylighting conditions over the course of the day. We do not want to create a loud building, and in fact, as a team, we refer to it as a machine for healing that's been designed from the inside out, right-sizing all of the clinical support spaces, the patient rooms, and the operating theaters. We've elected to express the structure of the building. You'll see that a little more in the next slide, if you could change. So you can see the vertical column lines on the facade as well as the lines of the floor plates to give it a bit of texture to avoid a kind of sheer plane on each building elevation. And it's worth noting, because we're extremely proud of it, that the characteristics of the cladding also goes a very long way to reducing the energy use in the building. We're achieving an energy use intensity rating of 125 kBTU per square foot, which likely makes us the best performing hospital envelope in the country. In contrast, recent buildings on the Upper East Side that are also hospitals are usually in the 200 to 250 kBTU range, so we're about half that. And again, we're really proud of that fact. And on this slide, I just want to call your attention to the bridge in the upper right corner. This is the base of the building. It's important to stress that the new pavilion project cannot be a standalone building. It's really a part of the larger organism of the main campus. And because of that, the bridge and the connections below grade, we're able to both leverage and expand on the capacities that exist both in Memorial Hospital and in the Rockefeller Research Laboratories. At the lower 2 floors, we've really pulled the facade in from the property line to allow us to give space back to the public realm, where we've created planted and landscape gardens. We're trying to create a very serene environment for all patients and guests arriving on site, as well as building staff, and to create an engaging streetscape on York Avenue. Next slide, please. So as you move forward towards the entry of the building, which is what is shown here, again, we've really compressed the program on the ground floor so that we can maximize the amount of public space. In this view, you'll see benches for public and patients and guests to sit on that have been designed to the POPs standards, as well as some of the landscape elements. And if you look in the far background, there's an opportunity for introducing artwork potentially on the core, and then slightly in front of that, as a part of our internal drop-off drive-through, where we bring anyone arriving on site via car onto the site to exchange their car with a valet. And that's intended to really minimize any traffic disruptions around on the major roads around the building. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shelley.
Thank you, Paul. Mr. Chairman, good morning, members of the committee, Councilmember Menon. Shelley Friedman, Friedman and Gottbaum, we are Land Use Council to MSK. Next slide, please. There are 8 actions in our EULR package. Not all of them are requiring council approval. I want to concentrate on those that are before the council. The others are basically authorizations, modifications, and certifications that don't necessarily come to the council. But we have been asked to present to you the complete package. The first action is a zoning map amendment, which is before the council. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back one. Excuse me. The text amendment was part of the actions that were originally requested in 2001 with the construction of the Zuckerman Research Center. That was considered phase one of that application. Phase two in 2001 was a acute care hospital that was considered phase two. Both were certified by the commission and went into ULURP. Our city planning hearing was scheduled for September 12th, 2001. And of course, that hearing didn't happen because of the events of the prior day. In fact, our ULURP application expired while the city was rebooting in the aftermath of 9/11. And thanks to an action of the council, a local law that was adopted, our ULURP was revived, but given until December 31st to complete, which eliminated about 150 days of the normal ULURP clock for that application. We were asked if we would, since the Zuckerman building was ready to go, but the replacement hospital was not ready to go. That was going to be a phase two that was going to follow years after phase one, whether we would withdraw that replacement hospital from consideration, which we agreed to do. That eliminated the need for this zoning map amendment. In the commission's report, they acknowledged our actions and told us that when we were ready to present the new hospital, we should certainly come back to the commission, and they understood its need at that point. This application is the resumption of that discussion that we had with the commission and with the council in 2001, and this pavilion building is that replacement hospital. It ends up being a little smaller than what we'll show you as the replacement hospital, what we can show you as the replacement hospital. But nonetheless, this is the resumption of that discussion which occurred in 2001 and was deferred. The second action, which is before the council, is a zoning text amendment. The zoning text amendment is to chapters of the discretionary permits in the large-scale community facilities development chapter, Chapter 79 of the zoning resolution. As you may know, large-scale community facility designations are special designations for multi-block campuses, universities, hospitals, and the like. In this case, the zoning map amendment that we're seeking will modify a provision that is applicable only within large scales, only to within hospitals in those large scales, only within community boards 8 and 12, and only within zoning districts R9 and R10. So you can see the very focused aspect of this text amendment that will deal with with lot coverage issues and with signage, only in those very narrow cases. We are also requesting a special permit pursuant to the large scale. That is typical in large scales, that provides the redistribution of floor area and certain allowances for height and setback and the like, so that applicants such as MSK, which are dealing with multi-block campuses, have some flexibility in the distribution of their floor area. The next item on the authorization, which is not before the council, there is a curb cut certification, which is not before the council, and there is a modification of height and setback within the large scale, which is not before the council. There will then be we are presently living under a restrictive declaration with regard to the 2001 rezonings. Since we're now proceeding with the hospital, that restrictive declaration has been withdrawn and canceled. And finally, the revocable consent for the bridge that Paul described to you requires a revocable consent from the Department of Transportation. Their procedures require us to go to the Public Design Commission for preliminary approval. They have provided those preliminary comments, and in their report refer to the bridge as elegant. I would like, while we have this slide before you, to go into some depth on the public engagement. As Councilmember Menon noted, the Community Board 8 approved by a vote of 24 to 10 with conditions the application. With regard to height, I'd like to read you that condition. that the new pavilion meet the highest standards. Oh, I'm sorry, I started off on the wrong one. A design that meets the needs of MSK to care for the proposed increase in cancer patients in a lower profile structure than currently proposed. So they within their resolution recognize that this all has to be done within the mission of MSK and without undercutting its ability to respond to the needs that Drs. Vickers and Drebin have stated before you today. With regard to the borough president recommended approval of the application without condition on height. And with regard to the City Planning Commission, they also approved the application unanimously. They did reference height and said they found the height appropriate. During that hearing, 9 people spoke in favor of the application and 3 people spoke in opposition to the application. Briefly discussing the environmental impacts on the next slide, please. We have no permanent impacts identified in the FEIS on site. Our building, once built, will cast a shadow on certain windows of a nearby church, and that has triggered a shadow impact. We are talking to the church. We have some thoughts about how to address that. We won't really be able to nail it down until the building is built to the point where those shadows can be confirmed and studied, but we're fully prepared to mitigate that aspect. That is the only permanent environmental impact in the application. We do have temporary impacts with regards to destruction and noise. We have a very robust list of items that we want to bring to the table in consultation with the council member, and consultation with the nearby school, and with consultation with our neighbors, to address all of those impacts to the best we can. With that, I think that concludes the presentation, and we all thank the committee for its time and its consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few questions, then I'm going to pass to the Councilmember Menon, then Councilmember Shulman. What percentage of people do you serve in New York City and in Manhattan now?
In terms of the cancer
Yes.
Market, we're somewhere around 14%.
14%.
1-4.
How many beds do you have now?
We have 514.
Do you know the age of your youngest patient?
It's in a very few months. We have a pediatric ward and take care of a lot of children.
Your oldest patient?
I operated on a lady who's 94 in the last 6 months. I suspect there are some older patients. She's doing well, I should point out.
Thank you. How long have the buildings used for housing staff been vacant?
The site for the presumed
Correct.
proposed pavilion?
Yeah, so we.
Yeah.
Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
We
Roger.
vacated that building in June of this year.
This expansion will lead to an increase in staff at MSK. What plans does MSK have in place to assist staff with housing if this project is approved?
We have additional housing. We have over 1,000 units on the Upper East Side. We're purchasing additional housing on Roosevelt Island, and we don't anticipate that this would create a major impact. I don't know, Roger, do you want to?
I understand that there's an elementary school on the same block as the proposed development, and the parents have expressed concerns about the air quality and other impacts. Have you reached out to other adjacent property owners to get their feedback and concerns as well?
We've certainly heard from many adjacent property owners. We held a series of calls with Community Board 8 going back now 18 months. Zoom calls, in-person meetings, and I think we've heard from a lot of people, particularly those who live on 66th Street, who are most likely to be impacted by the adjacency. We're a cancer center. We're all about avoiding exposures to environmental toxins, and we're committed to seeing that air quality and things are not negatively impacted.
Go ahead.
Chairman, hello. Chairman, we've also implemented a community working group as well. So monthly, we're going to have working sessions with the community to really get their feedback, give some updates, and look aheads on where we are at the project. We really want to be fully transparent with where we are and also to hear their concerns.
And I think the other, we also have a anticipated sort of hotline that'll be available to community members if something is perceived as they don't have to wait till the end of the month to tell us something's
It goes
not right.
directly to you guys, and you'll be able to answer it. Okay. Will there be a liaison between MSK and the community with this hotline? And
Yes, within our communications group, there's an individual who is specifically identified as to work closely with the community through Erin McDonough's team, who's here.
Okay. And the last question, Mr. Friedman, you spoke about an environmental issue with the church. You said that you will not be able to address that issue until the building is built, and that's regarding the shadows, I believe that you should talk about.
We have projections, computer models, and the like, but nothing is going to supplant the actual shadows that will occur as the building is going up and they start to occur in real time. That's the point where we've been discussing with the church, engaging with them in an effort to address those. There are external light sources and the like. There are many tools in the toolbox for that, but we have discussed with the church that we will be there once those shadows start to appear, so that we can make sure they're adjusted. At this point, we'd only be guessing on the basis of rough computer models about where those shadows are going to occur and when. They generally occur daily during certain seasons for about an hour a day. But under the environmental rules, that's sufficient to trigger an impact that we need to address.
Thank you. Councilmember Mendon?
Great. Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you to MSK for this presentation. So as you know, we have been in conversations for many months, particularly about a number of concerns. So I want to start with the impacts to the community and particularly to the school. We've talked at length about this, but I want to once again and say on the record how concerned I am about that. We have to ensure that the impacts are reduced to the fullest extent possible. There have been reports vis-a-vis asbestos. We are concerned, obviously, about having real-time air quality monitoring that the school and other residents surrounding the neighborhood can see in real time. As I've mentioned many times, I want to ensure that there is a noise mitigation wall so that students' work is not being affected and residents' quality of life is not being affected. I want to ensure that the construction, the noisiest construction, the jackhammering, et cetera, is shrouded in noise mitigation materials. So all of this I know we've talked about, but I'm just getting it out for this hearing. And I want to ensure, as I've said, that there be a very strong and open and constant line of communication between MSK and the surrounding community. So just give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, we're fully engaged and on board with you and your team as far as all of the different mitigation measures that are required by regulation, as well as the enhancements that we discussed. MSK is looking to be a partner within the community and to offer up all of our efforts to make sure that we're running a transparent project that not only provides information as far as what we're doing, but take in the feedback of where issues may occur.
Absolutely. And so to be clear, we are going to insist that any mitigation efforts exceed what is required. I want to talk a bit about the height, because obviously I've been hearing from residents in the community who are concerned about the height. Can you talk about precisely why do you need the 28 operating rooms? How did you derive the number 28 and the 206 beds? If you can talk with specificity about how the very alarming rise in cancer rates, and look, we are all obviously extremely concerned about that. What is the correlation between the rise in rates and the specific number of operating rooms and beds that you are proposing?
So we began this whole process with modeling what we would need to deliver care, making some assumptions about whether length of stay goes up or down, how many patients need inpatient care versus outpatient care. And we sort of created three bands, a sort of high utilization, a middle utilization, and a low utilization, both of patient beds and of surgical facilities and procedural spaces to take care of those numbers of patients. So we started with how many patients are we going to need to care for? What are we going to need to have to care for those patients? And as I say, the building is not in the high zone. The building was in the middle zone. We're hoping that we're on the money with this estimate and we'll be able to deliver the care that we think is going to be needed. Really what we fear is if the estimates are incorrect to the low side, we'll still face more patients coming to us for care than we can deliver. But we think this is the best estimate. It's a reasonable estimate. And then within that, those calculations, we were able to fit it into the site.
And how did you arrive at the height of 590 feet?
Again, it was not we didn't start from the height. We started with how many rooms do we need and how many ORs do we need and what are the new standards which have required much more mechanical space in a hospital building than in our current hospital building across the street, which is 50 years old. And that got us up. And then we tried at every point to shave space, to compress rooms. I think Rob mentioned it, but we're at 2% above the absolute minimum for patient rooms. These are not luxury suites or palatial by any means. They're safe. They'll be a place we can deliver the quality of care that we think no one else in the world can get, but they're not big. And similarly, the operating rooms are not much above the minimums. And so we sort of came to the number of patients, the number of treatment facilities, and the space. And as I say, we're pleased we can fit it into the envelope that was previously part of the processes. If we could estimate for the higher band, we would do it. We recognize there is no space for that.
Is there any room to lower the lobby height or the mechanical height?
We've tried to look at that at every point, and we really don't see any places. Roger or Rob, do you want to comment?
Go ahead, Paul. Yes, sir. So really, we can't lower it. A lot of the height is tied to the bridge connection to Memorial, which I said was an integral part of it. Because Memorial is an older building with different floor-to-floor heights, there's really a sweet spot where you can connect. So even if you were to lower the lobby, and it's not a palatial lobby right now by any means.
But it does look to be double height. It's a portion of the lobby. It looks like.
No, it's all single height.
So all of it is single height. There's no double height. But an exterior you have double height.
There's an entry lobby which then which only goes up one floor, and then people again on a single floor distribute to the elevators or to other places on that first floor.
That's right. The lobby is at level 2, so we could give the space back to the public. The level 1 is really just a way to get up to the lobby, one floor up. So it's all single. There's no double height spaces. And
only
again,
on the exterior where you're.
Yeah, just for the
Right,
drive-through. The
right.
public space has double height. Yes, because we wanted to give the public a grand space. But the bridge connection it's a fixed datum. So even if you change the height of the floors below the bridge, you're not lowering the building. You're just giving that space to one of the other floors.
Okay. One question I do have, you talked at length about the rising cancer rates, and obviously people come to you when they are in need of treatment. Are there things that you're doing proactively to prevent cancer within the surrounding community and New York City writ large?
So number one, we have high-risk screening programs that we reach out both in the city and broadly. We partner with, we have relationships with a number of other hospitals, particularly Jamaica, where we can look at early screening and detection. And so, yes, we are trying to do that. I would tell you that process simply allows us to get the cancers earlier, but probably not necessarily prevent them in doing so.
So you mentioned about the health disparities and the work that you've done personally and at MSK. So what exactly is MSK doing to address the health disparities in terms of being proactive? For example, on the Upper East Side, we have many NYCHA complexes. Is MSK doing any work in and around those complexes, whether it be mammogram vans or other ways to do early detection, since we all know, obviously, early detection saves lives. So what proactively is MSK doing?
So we have our Immigrant Health and Cancer Disparities Program, led by Fran Gainey. It has a van that is actually actively looking at screening. It looks for men for prostate cancer. It works with taxi drivers. It has programs with multiple ethnic groups as well to gain access. One of the facts that we try to do in a significant way is partner with New York Health and Hospitals as well as Jamaica, largely because when patients who have disparities enter MSK, our data shows those disparities normalize. They normalize in outcomes and they normalize in clinical trial enrollment. So that process is what we know actually reduces the disparities. And so in this effort to really relate and partner with other facilities, it gives us a chance to extend beyond just what we can do alone in our current facility.
Okay, I'd love to see more detail about that because, again, I think there's a lot of work that we need to do moving forward on that. And I know our health chair, I'm sure, will have some questions on that as well.
We can. We're in the process now of resubmitting our core grant, and that's extensive data on our community outreach efforts that we've done that we can get to you.
Okay, I know we've got a lot of people here who want to speak, so let me turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Menon. Councilmember Shulman.
Hi, thank you for the presentation today. As Councilmember Menon mentioned, I am the chair of the Health Committee. I'm also a breast cancer survivor. And so a couple of questions. Councilmember Menon asked some of them in terms of the reduction in cancer rates. I'm part of a program that the mayor launched called Healthy NYC, which is to increase life expectancy by the year 2030 to the age of 83, and part of that has to do with the reduction of chronic diseases and cancers. So, I want to just mention that we should be reducing cancer as opposed to, I know you said it's increasing. And again, in relation to how many operating rooms you do need. So, can you talk about that a little bit? I know you answered it, but if you can respond to it.
Well, we certainly share your hope. I think one thing at MSK that comes through loud and clear whenever I've been there for 8 years as chair of surgery, and the sense of mission that every member of our staff, from Christine, who cleans my office at night, to the CEO and everybody in between, is about curing cancer and preventing cancer. So we're aligned completely in that. The reality is we have a number of areas looking at screening, molecular testing. Things we're pioneering may ultimately be the way that we have with straightforward blood tests, way to say, you have a problem and let's get to it early. But right now, most of cancer patients who are long-term survivors for solid tumors have surgery as part of their treatment. The vast majority, liquid tumors are a different story, leukemias and such. Right. But for solid tumors, surgery, along with chemotherapy, radiation, immunotherapy, targeted agents, is for most patients the road to cure. Right. And so that's really what we're focusing on.
So my understanding of MSK, I haven't been a patient there, but my understanding of MSK is that you actually treat cancers that are somewhat untreatable in other places. Rare cancers, I should say.
There is truth to the fact that we take care of rare cancers. We do more of most uncommon cancers than any even big academic center is likely to see. But we also treat colon cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer. And if you look at outcomes at Memorial Sloan Kettering for stage 1 cancers, early cancers, they're better than any of the big national databases. And that's true whether it's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or stage 4. So yes, advanced cancers do better under our 4 walls. Rare cancers do better. but so do breast cancer, so do colon cancer, so does every other type of cancer. And we would, no, there are two things. Number one, we like to make that available as much as we can. And number two, we don't keep any trade secrets. Everything we do, we try to publish clinical trials and bring those to the community. We think because we're dedicated to this one mission, we're doing today what others will do in a few years, but we hope that we'll disseminate what we learn and that everyone will be able to get that kind of care down the road.
So I have a question. So Jamaica Hospital is in my district, and I'm very happy that you guys have a presence there. Was any thought given to, since you work with patients throughout the city, to put the pavilion in another borough like Queens, or so why?
We actually looked at every option for expanding our clinical capacity, and as I think we noted in the slide, the pavilion isn't really a freestanding hospital. It's an extension of the main hospital. It doesn't have its own primary food service. It doesn't have an emergency room or urgent care center. It doesn't have many of the things that are on the other side of the street, and so it couldn't. To be a freestanding hospital, it would need to be much bigger, and so really this seemed the most efficient way. One of my patients is getting treated at Jamaica Hospital for her chemotherapy and will be back to me for surgery in about 4 months.
So my question to, 'cause I used to, in a previous life, I worked in a city hospital. So I understand that looks like a behemoth on the outside, but the mechanical space makes it most of the space unusable. Can you tell us the percentage of mechanical versus usable space in the hospital?
Sure, and we have a graphic depiction that is a slide following the last slide in the deck in the appendix section, that if we could pull that up, it actually restacks the building to speak exactly to that point. If you could advance to the next. There you go, perfect. So when I was presenting the building earlier, I talked about the individual floors and the mechanical strata that happens floor by floor. We restacked the building in this graphic to demonstrate how all of that mechanical space stacks up and starts to drive the overall height.
I'm just asking, what's the percentage of usable versus the mechanical?
Yeah, so the mechanical floors themselves take up 20% of the building. So five of our stories are fully mechanical floors across the building. And then the height, it's over 50% of the building is mechanical space.
Right. No, understood. Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councilmember Shulman. Councilmember Menon, do you have a second round of questions you would like to ask?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much. There being no more questions, this applicant panel is excused. Council, do we have any members of the public who would like to testify on this item?
Yes, we do, Chair. So we have a number of individuals who are in person and online. We are first going to hear from the people who have been patiently waiting in person and who came down, so thank you for coming down. We are going to start with a panel of 3 people in opposition, and then we will have a panel in favor also of 3 to 4 people, an alternate. And then I'm guessing in about roughly maybe 45 minutes to an hour, we will be able to get to the online testimony.
All right, thank you. First and foremost, thank you to everyone that's here to testify, whether you're in opposition or you're for. We really appreciate those in our communities that come down here to testify. It's really important to us, so thank you. For the members of the public here to testify, please note that the witnesses will generally be called in panels of 3. If you are a member of the public sign up to testify on the proposal, please stand by when you hear your name being called and prepare to speak. When I say, you may begin. Please also note that once all panelists in your group have completed their testimony, if remotely, you will be removed from the meeting as a group, and the next group of speakers will be introduced. Once removed, participants may continue to view the live stream broadcast of this hearing on the council's website. Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not speak or begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock. The following individuals who signed to testify should now come to the witness table: Tara Puri, George Janes, and Lisa Barnhart. And please correct me if I mispronounce your name. Thank you. Thank you. We'll first begin with Lisa Barnhart.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lisa Barnhart. I have lived on 66th Street between First and York for over 30 years. And on behalf of my neighbors, I have a little demo I'd like to show you. And this is just to see. Woohoo.
Ms. Barnhart, so this is something kind of new for this committee. We usually normally don't do this, so I would just ask if you could kind of submit this testimony to us.
Because it's visual. This is the building. This is how tall the building is going to be compared to our buildings, which are 5.
Okay, but just so you know, Ms. Barnhart, there are people online that are watching this as well, so we need them to hear you, and they can't hear you right now, nor they can see this. That's why we need you to present this to us. If you can present it.
I can try to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
We
one
could start
other
Ms.
thing?
Barnhart's time over. That's fine for her. You could just speak, Ms. Barnhart, okay?
Yep. And
Thank
I
you.
would also like to say that, if you can hear me, there's also what they call an air farm, and the air farm is going to be pointing directly at the residential buildings. And that air farm is spewing toxic air out at us. So that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnhart. You could just wait right there, Ms. Barnhart. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, we will have Ms. Tara Puri. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
It's perfect.
Go ahead, Ms. Tara.
Hi, my name is Tara Puri. I'm a homeowner at 1175 York Avenue, which is a 3-block vicinity south of the project. I'm a mother of 2 second-grade children at the adjacent school of PS 183 Elementary School. I'm testifying against the the MSK Pavilion project, mainly because of its size. And also because I've
Ms.
seen...
Puri, can you just talk in the mic so we can? Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
mainly because of its size, and I've lived through mismanagement of other projects locally in the area, most notably the never-ending infrastructure upgrade project that is taking place for over 9 years outside my apartment building. If anybody on the council has spent any significant amount of time on the pavement, as I do, commuting, walking, etc., you will realize that this neighborhood is not currently in a state that we can sustain this size of the project that is about to be built. The infrastructure project that I refer to outside the building is a infrastructure project that was started under Councilmember Menin's predecessor, Ben Kalos, it has been going on extended for many, many years. And my concern is, and I love all the things that are outlined in terms of accountability here, and I'm happy to hear about these outreaches. But my concern is that once this project, if it gets approved, that once it's approved, these things won't be followed through on. And my children, who have been subjected to never-ending noise outside our building, never-ending traffic, an influx of traffic from all the hospitals in the area, because quite frankly, the patients cannot afford to park at MSKK. They come and they park in front of my building, in front of the parking garages. They just can't do it. So I'd ask you to please consider the impact of now my 7-year-old children who are in the area and the health and safety and the environmental noise and pollution of this project.
Thank you, Ms.
Please
Tara.
accelerate the other projects that are happening.
Thank you, Ms. Tara. Mr. James?
Thank you. My name is George Janes. I'm the planner who's been helping the neighbors in their review of the application. As the subcommittee on zoning, I think you should realize how exceptional this proposal is. 108 years ago, we adopted zoning after we saw the Equitable building rise 500 feet without any setback. And since that time, New York City has welcomed all kinds of tall buildings, as long as there was some kind of setback or open space as they got taller. It's the New York City building form. The MSK proposal rises higher than the Equitable building without any setback, and it's exceptional, and it's not New York. MSK justifies the form, as you've heard, by saying that cancer occurrences are expected to rise 50% by 2050. What if they're wrong? Or what if effective non-surgical treatments are developed over the next 25 years? Wouldn't a phased approach make more sense, one that can be easily adapted and modified as the future needs unfold? We've been exploring a number of alternatives, including phased approaches that show substantial development on this site that connect to the existing hospital, but which also permit a future application should the projected needs actually materialize. And I have handouts that I provided that explore a few of these scenarios we've developed for the neighbors. And I'm not sure actually we have consensus on any single scenario, but there is an absolute consensus that the MSK proposal is not reasonable. It is an exceptional ask and needs to be scaled back. And I'm hoping that council can step up here and broker a compromise that protects the needs and interests of everyone. I'll be submitting more detailed drawings over the next 3 days, but I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for this panel? Okay, I only have one question, or no request. Can you please help her kind of articulate that the same way you articulated this, please?
I will do my very best.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you also could submit a picture as well, okay? All right. Thank you so much. The next panel I'm going to call up is Rosa Morini. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Linda Thompson and Constance Bombenga. Thank you so much. I know I mispronounced your name, so I apologize. First, we're going to begin with Ms. Rosa.
Okay. Dear committee members, my name is Rosa Nuvini, and I am a medical oncologist at MSK. I care for patients at MSK Ralph Lauren Center, which is located in Harlem, and also at Medicis Jamaica Hospital Medical Center in Queens, where I am site director for the cancer program. I see patients with blood cancers, solid tumors, such as breast cancer, colon cancer, and lung cancers. At MSK, we are working to reduce disparities in cancer care for medically underserved communities. I am passionate about equalizing access and outcomes, and I'm proud that I get to do this work every day. People living in Harlem have among the highest cancer incidence rates for lung cancer, and men living in central Harlem have the highest cancer rates for colorectal cancer. MSK's Ralph Lauren Center has been serving this community for more than 20 years, screening, educating, and treating cancer in thousands of people. Additionally, many people living in Queens face significant healthcare barriers, including socioeconomic, language, and educational disparities that have a profound impact on their ability to access care, particularly cancer care. The work we do with the Medicis Jamaica Hospital Medical Center helps increase access to high-quality cancer care in the comfort of their own neighborhood. My colleagues and I regularly see that many of our patients have faced some sort of delay in their care or knowledge gap about their disease before they come to us at MSK. Along with providing cancer treatment, we therefore also work to educate our patients to make sure that they understand what type of cancer they have, the stage, and what that means. And we work with patients to explain what treatments are available and how their family members can be involved. Our work addresses the social determinants of health, also known as the SDOH, which are the lifestyle, economic, and sociocultural factors that impact access to health care and optimal outcomes. By addressing the SEOH, we are able to better understand our patients and unearth the barriers that patients face to timely and effective care, such as transportation, food insecurity, and lack of technology. In working to expand our services closer to
If
home.
you could wrap it up now, Rose. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I have so much to say about this, but we are doing amazing work.
You
in
can
that
also
arena.
present the rest of your testimony. to
Sure.
us.
I'll send it over.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Next, we're going to ask Ms. Linda Thompson.
Hello, my name is Linda Thompson, and I'm the health ministry leader at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in the city of New York. Our church is one of the oldest African American Baptist churches in the United States, and we serve both the greater Harlem community and New Yorkers citywide. MSK is a treasured and strong partner in our efforts to educating our congregation and the community and work to overcome the health disparities they experience. Cancer is significantly impacting our community. According to a 2019 report by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and the New York City neighborhoods, men and women living in central Harlem have the approximate highest cancer incidence rate among lung and bronchus cancer, and men living in central Harlem have the approximate highest cancer incidence for colorectal cancer. We began working with MSK in 2021 and when we partnered with the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to establish a COVID-19 vaccine site at our church in Harlem. MSK administered over 12,000 doses of the vaccine to the church and community members. Since then, our collaboration with MSK Ralph Lauren Center in Harlem has blossomed. Together, we offer various programming and support the Harlem community. In this past June, we co-hosted an educational dinner with multiple myeloma, the most common blood cancer in African Americans. We also have participated in MSK's triennial community health needs assessment to provide insight into the health and needs of our community, and we will continue to do so. The applications from MSK are essential to MSK's ability to deliver high-quality, efficient patient care to all who seek it, including people living in Harlem and the surrounding area. The Abyssinian Baptist Church is grateful for our partnership with MSK and will work with them in the community. That is why we offer our strong support for the MSK's Pavilion project to ensure MSK is equipped to meet the needs of the New Yorkers here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know
I can take over. It's fine.
how you pronounce your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Connie Bordenga.
Thank you.
I'm an Associate Director of Cancer Center Partnerships at the American Cancer Society. At the American Cancer Society, we work to improve the lives of people with cancer and their families through advocacy, research, and patient support to ensure that everybody has an equal opportunity to prevent, detect, treat, and survive cancer. We have worked very closely with Memorial Sloan Kettering for many years to support New York cancer patients. In fact, we are currently funding over $3.7 million in research grants, and Memorial Sloan Kettering is our largest referral source for our New York City Hope Lodge, which provides free lodging for cancer patients during their treatment. And as cancer rates continue to rise, right, our work together has never been more important. MSK has been a major supporter of our advocacy work around expanding access to biomarker testing, tobacco control. Staff is always volunteering our events, participating, and expanding access to, among other things, HPV vaccinations, which prevents cancer, as you know. They have generously funded a Health Equity Ambassador program in 2023, training Black and Latinx community members to engage in peer cancer education. The pending land use applications are essential for their ability to deliver on the promise of high quality, efficient patient care to seek it, and therefore the American Cancer Society offers its strong support. We look forward to the pavilion's approval and its opening in 2030. Its 28 operating rooms and associated intensive care units and patient beds are necessary addition to the city's capacity for meeting the needs of New Yorkers diagnosed with cancer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. There being no questions for this panel is excused. Thank you for testifying.
Thank you.
The next panel I'm going to call up is Yasmina Palumbo Kaleo, Amar Rosenberg, and Zeynep Turin. First, we're going to begin with Zeynep Turin.
Thank you, Chair Riley. Zeynep Turan, speaking on behalf of Friends of the Upper East Side. We have concerns about the proposed pavilion's height, as well as how it might negatively impact the surrounding neighborhood's character and livability. Our main concern is that the proposed pavilion would be a massive tower rising directly from the sidewalk with no setbacks, a throwback to pre-zoning regulation building form soaring above even the tall medical towers further along York Avenue. From a zoning and land use perspective, the massive upzoning and amendments required before such could be approved would send a troubling signal to developers about what is permissible in the Upper East Side and with respect to institutional expansion across the city. Our second concern centers on the proposed building's allocation of space. As it stands, a significant portion is dedicated to mechanical systems, you just heard, leaving only 44% for patient care, surgery, clinical areas, and the lobby. We question the efficiency of building a tall surgical hospital, especially when a larger footprint could potentially accommodate a shorter structure. This seems like a suboptimal use of space, and the community should not bear the burden of such an inefficient design. Is it customary for hospitals to have only 44% of their space allocated to hospital or clinical use? Or is this behemoth being proposed primarily to cater the needs of VIP patients with water views and 20-foot high ceilings? The community needs to have more details to fully understand this oversized request, and a process of more comprehensive disclosure needs to be established for review of new construction by MSK and the other institutions. Given the client's disregard for the community's repeated efforts to achieve a sensible and a significantly lower structure alternative, design alternative, we urge the council to intervene on our behalf. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Amar Rosenberg.
It's actually Anat Rosenberg.
Anar,
like when you
sorry.
type. That's okay. Are you starting? Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Anat Rosenberg, and I'm a resident of East 66th Street, a parent of 2 children who attend PS 183, and a founding member of Lenox Hill Families Advocating for Children to Thrive, or FACT. I'm sharing 2 photographs with you today, one of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden and one of my kids, ages 7 and 10. As you can see, both of these things need sunlight, clean air, and TLC to thrive. Throughout this ULURP process, however, it has become abundantly clear that only one of these things is worthy of those needs according to city officials, and that is the Botanic Garden. In approving MSK's rezoning application, Community Board 8, Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, and the Department of City Planning have all sent a clear message that the health and well-being of 550 children who attend PS 183 this year and every year after may be sacrificed on the altar of MSK's pavilion. The City Planning Commission spent 4 hours discussing the shadow impact of a proposed condo in Brooklyn on the garden's plants, a nearby school and its yard, asking detailed questions about how much sunlight various exotic plants need. They asked no such questions about the impact of MSK's demolition and construction on PS 183, perhaps because MSK conveniently didn't mention the school in its scope of work or environmental impact statement. The demolition of 1233 York Avenue and the 6 years of construction will negatively impact the surrounding residential neighborhood, especially the elementary school students, teachers, and staff at PS 183. These children, ages 4 to 11, will bear the brunt of the hazardous dust that includes friable asbestos and lead chips, noise, traffic congestion, and other environmental impacts of the project that may one day ironically negatively affect their health. The pavilion will block the southeastern windows of the school and cast a shadow on the schoolyard in perpetuity, leaving our children literally in the dark. As the daughter of 2 physicians, including a surgical oncologist who worked at city hospitals for more than 40 years, I know that cancer care is important, and I recognize the need for strong healthcare institutions to serve local and global needs. However, we must not put this agenda ahead of the welfare of our children. Those of you who call yourselves child advocates will no longer be able to do so if you vote yes on this application. I urge you not to approve this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Yasmina Palumbo.
Hello, yes. So something is very wrong when we need to come here today to beg you to protect our children's health from a cancer hospital's expansion plan involving demolition of a residential building in the midst of a housing crisis, a demolition that will involve removal of significant amounts of asbestos. MSK's lack of consideration for the health and well-being of PS 183 students and residents is egregious, but here we are. So the question is, who benefits? And despite claims today to the contrary, health equity is a serious concern with MSK averaging meager Medicaid acceptance rates, and most recently informing city workers that they may be dropping their health insurance carrier, Anthem, due to stalled negotiations. So who benefits? As is, the MSK Pavilion plan stands to benefit the wealthiest and most elderly demographic the most, while the greatest burden on health and quality of life would fall on 500 public school children under the age of 12 and the working class residents living in 5-story tenement buildings on East 66th Street. On May 8th, despite overwhelming community opposition, CB8 nonetheless approved rezoning, and with the condition that it lowered the profile structure. To date, MSK has failed to meet this condition. Even though a reasonable height of 380 feet would alleviate the most significant impacts, MSK has instead proceeded to insist it requires the incredible full height of 594 feet in a residential zone, a height that would make it the tallest hospital in the world. MSK has also failed to substantiate this need with any data beyond a CDC study projecting 50% increase in cancer incidence in America by 2050. It's notable that when the borough president recommended approval of rezoning in June, he misunderstood this CDC study to project a 50% increase in cancer rates. It does not. In fact, the CDC study referenced by MSK actually predicts a stabilization in cancer rates in women and a decrease in cancer rates in men by 2050, and concludes, our projections make it clear that to mitigate the impact of a growing and aging population, a substantial, robust, and coordinated focus on primary prevention is needed immediately, not in 6 years, immediately. Yet prevention is completely absent from this MSK Pavilion plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There being no questions for this panel is excused. Thank you so much for testifying. Can I see that picture real quick? I couldn't see it on the floor. Thank you. Beautiful children, too. All right. Next panel I'm going to call up is Karan Haley. Marks Pat. It's not me. It's everyone's writing their name. I can't read the handwriting, everyone. And Laura Arbizari. Is Marks Pat in here? Yes, it could be Mary Pat. Yes. I'm sorry, Mary. I thought that was an X. It's all right. It's my handwriting too. It's all right. We're going to begin with Ms. Laura. Ms. Laura, you may begin.
Sure. Good afternoon. Thank you for hanging in with us. My name is Laura Artizone, and I'm a nurse, and I'm the clinical director of nurse anesthesia services at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Nurse anesthetists are a group of advanced practice nurses who, along with anesthesiologists, make sure you're safe and comfortable during your procedure in the operating room. I've spent my last 20 years of my career at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and I'm a clinician on the front line. Over the last 20 years, I've seen a change in the patients we're treating every day. There are just simply more patients and younger patients, and patients who require more complex care. When you combine the increasing acuity of cancer with the expected increase in volume of cases, the result is, am I okay? Okay. The result is that our current facility is just simply not equipped for the volume of patients or the complexity of treatment and procedures these patients will need in the coming years. My nursing colleagues and I have been on the design team. We've worked to assure that every aspect of this pavilion will provide a more comprehensive and cohesive and supportive environment for families and patients and the population we serve. When you're treating cancer, every second counts. And when it comes especially to acute care for very sick patients, it's critical that our resources are together and near each other, which is one of the many reasons why it would be impossible for the new pavilion to be anywhere else in another borough or 20 blocks away. It has to be right here on our main campus in close proximity, and why we have a bridge linking the new pavilion and patient floors to the old facility of main campus. It's critical. With the pavilion as part of our main campus on York Avenue, we won't have to recreate essential patient services like blood bank, lab, radiation oncology, and we can still access groundbreaking cell therapies and treatment for our patients. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next we'll hear from Mary Pat.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you in support of MSK. I moved to the Upper East Side more than 30 years ago, and my husband and I now live on York Avenue, just north of MSK's main campus. In 1999, I started volunteering at the hospital every Wednesday night. For more than 18 years, I saw the amazing work of MSK firsthand among the pediatric patients and their families, whom I was privileged to serve. I witnessed the extraordinary dedication and professional compassion of the nurses and doctors, and the desire of each and every MSK staff member to make the awful experience of pediatric cancer a bit brighter for these young children. I also witnessed the sense of dedication and compassion firsthand as a caregiver for my beloved dad. A bit about him. My dad was the center of our large family. He was as healthy and vibrant as can be. We thought him invincible until a very rare and very aggressive cancer struck. Immediately, he began treatment at MSK and spent the next 3 months in and out of the hospital. As a family, we again saw the extraordinary compassion and dedication of the nurses, doctors, and staff, a fact which my father often complimented them on throughout his care. In less than 90 days following his cancer diagnosis, my family and I gathered as he began to decline. The ICU doctors and nurses did everything possible to make this difficult time easier for all of us, paying particular attention to my grieving mother. We all had the hard privilege of holding my father's hands and one another as he passed away. My dad's death left a huge hole in our hearts, but we know he's now at perfect peace, and so are we with the care that he received at MSK. We support MSK and their pursuit of the pavilion so that families in their toughest battles can experience the same care my family was afforded. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Karan Healy.
Good afternoon. My name is Kieran Healy. I live in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and I'm here today to tell you how MSK saved my life and why I proudly support MSK's new cancer care pavilion. When I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, MSK saved my life with expert science, chemotherapy, and a clinical trial, plain and simple. I especially remember the care shown by MSK employees while I was receiving treatment. I was treated with compassion from the doctors down to the staff bringing me my food, and particularly all the nurses, giving me the confidence to take cancer on. If I could send every person with cancer to MSK for their treatment, I would. That's why I support MSK's Pavilion Project. This new facility will ensure that people diagnosed with cancer in the future can walk into MSK's doors and experience the same level of care and compassion that I did. No one facing cancer should wait for a bed. MSK cares. They got me back to my boy, and I want that opportunity for every New Yorker. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you so much for testifying. There being no more questions for this panel, we appreciate your testimony. Thank you. The next panel we're going to bring to testify is Rachel George, Daniela Mendoza, and Caitlin Griffin. We will begin with Caitlin Griffin.
Good afternoon. I am a lifelong resident in the 2 blocks from the project site, and I'm speaking in fervent opposition to this application. The residents of this neighborhood have experienced the expansion of MSK for 30 years, and the issue repeatedly about sound planning principles has been sideswiped by the virtues of the Cancer Crusade. This is not about the virtues of MSK nor the rightness of pursuing a solution to cancer. This is about planning principles. This is about making the fabric of our city healthy, free-flowing, clean air, natural light. As it happens, I live in the Light and Air tenement, one of 2 surviving examples of this tenement design. And the reason I bring it up here, it's 2 blocks from the project site, is that it was designed before all of these zoning principles, which we supposedly enjoy today, were in existence. And yet the design of this building invites natural air and light not only to the interior, but to the exterior. This design does nothing for the exterior. There is no setback. This has to be repeated over and over again. This entire review process has been held hostage by the virtues of cancer. This is about a living urban fabric that has to be upheld and in fact enhanced, because right now, as you've heard, living in this neighborhood is absolute hell. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Daniela Mendoza.
I am the parent of a child at PS 183. Sorry. My child at 5 years old. Sorry. It's going to take from my time. My child at 5 years old is also a rare brain cancer survivor and was treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering.
You can take your time.
Okay. Although it is fair to consider the necessity of constructing this hospital through the perspective of potential cancer cases, it is equally important, if not more important, to consider quality of life for the children who attend PS 183 right now. Sorry. I have done my best to read as many of the public documents about this project, and there are a lot of documents. However, I noticed that there is little, if no mention of how the demolition and construction will specifically affect the pediatric population. The environmental hazards and risks are serious and many for this young population with developing minds and bodies. There are children in the community with disabilities, like hearing loss, like my son, who will be even more affected by the pollution and the noise. It is important to remember that the children at PS 183 range in age from 3 years old to 10 years old. The Environmental Protection Agency website explains why and how environmental hazards from demolitions and constructions projects affect children differently than adults with greater consequences. One article entitled "Children Are Not Little Adults" explains that this is because children have unique physiological differences like eating, breathing, and drinking more relative to their body mass than adults do, and unique activity patterns like crawling and playing close to the ground, making them more likely to come into contact with dirt and dust, which can include toxicants. Children often put their hands, toys, and other items into their mouths. I feel that constructing this pavilion and changing the zoning in this location is not safe for the children at PS 183. If MSK is to proceed with this project, it is important that the hospital be held to the highest and strictest standards of accountability and not the minimum. It is our responsibility to protect this vulnerable population. To that end, I think MSK should provide and pay for certain protections for the pediatric population. This action would demonstrate to the community that they are not only interested in treating cancer, but in preventing exposures that can and will eventually cause cancer. MSK should provide a canopy for the entire open play space. The entire play space needs to be functional and usable for every day, but should have a cover to prevent dust fall and contamination of play surfaces. In addition, the play space should be hosed down
Ms.
regularly.
Mendoza, if you could wrap it up now.
Yes, I have two. MSK should provide medical-grade air filtration systems for the school. There are many research papers post-COVID that demonstrate the effectiveness of using filters. MSK should provide deep cleaning services to the school on nights and weekends to manage dust and dirt going into the school. This list is not comprehensive, but rather I hope a starting point for us to think about ways to keep the children at PS 183 physically safe, create a healthy learning environment, and protect their quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Ms. Rachel George, no problem.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Rachel George. I live at 400 East 67th Street, the building called The Laurel. This building, I have not heard it discussed at all. We are next door to the church, and we have 129 apartments, many of them with children as well. I am a building unit owner, a board member, and the mother of 2 children. I was attending at Columbia Presbyterian and faculty in the Department of Oral Radiology. I feel like I live in that neighborhood because I love it. It is a neighborhood. We have parks, we have schools, we have businesses, we have many elderly and young children, and it is truly a community. But a world-class medical community is existing with us. I don't think we need another hospital. I would like to request that the proposed building height be reduced by 250 feet, or at least 200 feet, and include setbacks. Setbacks would provide my building with at least less shadows and some light. It just doesn't fit in. The highest building in our area is 424 feet, I believe, and that is the Zuckerman Research Tower. I feel that this building size is informed by a need for 28 operatories, or ORs, and I just think that the future of medicine is changing very rapidly. We need to think about that. I have an article here about how computational biology and artificial intelligence are changing cancer care. This is written by MSK, so you guys have it, but it is changing. If we build a building based on the way we're doing surgery today and the way we're doing that, and just because these numbers increase, I mean, I'd love to hear an epidemiologist talk about those numbers, because just because you have more cancer, you're not treating more cancer. Not necessarily. Depends on what we're doing. And are we finding more cancer? Because of these new technologies. I mean, I'd like to see and hear someone with a math or epidemiological background discuss those numbers. If MSK could do that, I'd love to hear about it. But I think we do have to think about how much surgery and medicine will be changing, and do we need that large and that many ORs?
Thank you, Ms. George.
Thank you.
There being no questions for this panel, you're excused. The next panel is John McGinley, Nicole Grogan, and Andrew Stern. Nicole? You're Nicole? Yes. All right. John? You're John? Is Andrew Stern here? Andrew? No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Thank you so much.
Is there Andrew over? Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right. Ms. Nicole, you may begin.
Very good. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Grogan, and I have lived in Yorkville for more than 25 years. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you on the importance of Memorial Sloan Kettering and their new pavilion on the Upper East Side. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 44. At the time, I was a busy wife and mom to my 10-year-old son, active in my community and working full-time. My world immediately stopped, and I contacted MSK because I knew they would develop a plan that immediately that would give me the best odds of survival. My treatment over 10 months was comprehensive and included not only multiple surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation, but also included social services and the opportunity to participate in groundbreaking research studies, such as the effectiveness of exercise during chemotherapy. All of this happened at MSK in Manhattan. Their care was exceptional because they have the research, cutting-edge treatment, and a culture of treating the whole person and their specific needs. Fast forward nearly 7 years from diagnosis, I am healthy and living a very full life with my husband, teenage son, and family. As a patient and a caregiver to my mother, who was treated at MSK in Manhattan for lung cancer, I have seen how intense cancer treatment is. The need for high-quality cancer care is urgent. It's not something that can be scheduled for a convenient time, and no patient should ever be made to wait for treatment in this most vulnerable moment. I do not see any negative residential impacts by MSK's plan. The new MSK Pavilion is absolutely essential, as it will allow for more patients like myself to receive exceptional care. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will have John McGinley.
Good afternoon, council member. Good afternoon, council member and staff, board. My name is John McGinley. I am a cancer survivor, treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and a proud member of the Carpenters Local 157 of the New York City District Council of Carpenters. I want to share my personal experience, and I fully support the construction of the new Memorial Sloan Pavilion, which will be built with 100% union labor. I am a survivor of the World Trade Center. I escaped the building that day and was diagnosed with cancer in the year of 2017. And I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering after I had been diagnosed in another hospital, and they said I had 16 weeks to live. That was my diagnosis in the beginning. And my wife and myself, and through talking with other friends, got the advice to go to Memorial Sloan Kettering, which is a life-saving hospital. I have been a member of that union, and I stand in the importance of the project like this that assures higher standards. When I was working, I am now retired, the standards that I was held to in all construction, safety, health and safety of the neighbors, noise pollution, sexual orientation, that was all done through my union, and they have standards that always is being maintained and made more available. The decision to construct the pavilion using 100% building trades unions workers is a testament to Memorial Sloan Kettering's commitment to excellence. It's not just healthcare, but also supporting working families in the local communities, which I had come from. This project will only expand MSK's ability to serve more patients like me, and also ensure that the workers building this state-of-the-art facility are skilled professionals dedicated to doing the job right when union tradespeople are involved. We know the job will be done to the highest standards, ensuring the safety and the well-being of everyone who uses this space, from patients to medical staff to neighbors. I'm proud to stand in support of the Memorial Sloan Kettering Pavilion construction project, and I encourage others to do the same. This is an investment in healthcare to our community and our working families in New York.
Thank you, Mr. Next, we will hear from Andrew Stern.
Hi, my name is Andrew Stern. Thank you to Chair Riley and to Councilmember Menon for being here today. I live in Manhattan. There are a lot of good reasons to support this project. We could talk about the jobs that it will provide during construction and once operational for nurses, doctors, technicians, maintenance workers, and administrators. Or we could talk about how those employees will eat at local restaurants and support local businesses. But this project is personal for me, and that's why I want to focus on the patients today. A few years ago, my grandmother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The first few weeks were hard. Knowing the typical prognosis, we thought that was going to be it. But she was treated at MSK, and thanks to the work of so many incredible professionals, they were able to make significant progress. She's still not done with her treatments, but she's a fighter, and I know that she's going to make it. The treatment she received saved her life, and I think as many New Yorkers as possible should be able to access the same quality of treatment at MSK. If this were a few years from now, she might have been treated at the new pavilion. It will be entirely dedicated to patient treatment, and with 206 beds, it represents an opportunity for thousands of additional New Yorkers to benefit from this incredible quality of care. As for concerns about height, I want to emphasize the very real trade-offs between every foot of height and the number of beds. It is so important that we allow as many patients as possible to be treated at MSK. If MSK had not had the capacity to treat my grandmother, I don't know if she would still be here. I don't want anyone in a similar situation to be turned away because they don't have enough beds. With numerous buildings nearby taller than 500 feet, I asked the committee to please approve this building with the full 28 operating rooms and 206 beds planned. If the building size will be cut, I would ask them to please consider how many patients might not receive treatment for every bed that goes unbuilt. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. There being no questions for this panel, you are now excused. The last in-person panel that we will be calling is Michael Pichulo, Virginia Wetzelhofer, and Andrew Kung. And after this, we will go to online, and the first online panel will consist of Ashley Williams, Akshay Ganju, Kim Rubenstein, and Lovan DeVolk. I just want to put on the record, I'm going to pass my chairmanship to Councilmember Menon so I could go downstairs and vote, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, please begin. Yes.
My name is Michael Piccirillo. I'm a proud resident of New York City, as well as the Area Standards Manager of the New York City District Council of Carpenters. I'm here today to express my full support for the construction of the Memorial Sloan Kettering Pavilion, a project that holds tremendous value for both our city and its working community. As a New Yorker, I recognize the incredible importance of Memorial Sloan Kettering's work in providing life-saving care and cutting-edge cancer treatments to individuals from across our city, state, and beyond. Expanding their facilities through construction of this new pavilion will allow them to continue their vital mission, bringing hope and healing to countless families. But beyond the crucial healthcare services this project will help enhance, I am particularly proud to support the pavilion's construction because it will be built with 100% union workers from the building trades. This commitment ensures not only the highest standards of craftsmanship and safety will be met, but also that good family-sustaining jobs will be created for the hardworking men and women of New York City. Union workers, like the members of the New York City District Council of Carpenters, have long-standing tradition of excellence in construction. We're trained, experienced, and dedicated to ensuring that projects like the Memorial Sloan Kettering Pavilion are built with first-class craftsmanship. In addition, by employing union labor, the project will contribute to the economic vitality of our city, putting wages back into the local economy and supporting middle-class families. This project represents an investment in New York's future, not only in terms of healthcare, infrastructure, but also in terms of supporting local workers and their families. Memorial Sloan Kettering has chosen to partner with union labor because they know it's an investment in quality, safety, as well as and the well-being of our community. I urge you to give this project your full support. By doing so, you're not only helping to improve healthcare for New Yorkers, but also strengthening the city's workforce and economy. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Virginia Wetzelhofer.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Virginia Wetzelhofer Tomlinson, and I have been a New York City resident for the last 21 years. Over a decade ago, I was a healthy, successful 31-year-old New Yorker. I was then diagnosed with triple positive stage 3 breast cancer. My family was in Buffalo, but my young adult life was in New York City, and the questions of where to be treated and cared for became real. Even with these challenges, my family and I had no doubt that Memorial Sloan Kettering was the right choice. My team and I crafted a plan to attack my cancer, a plan that involved surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and unfortunately meant that I would never be able to carry a baby. The chemo would cause irreversible damage to my eggs that would make carrying a pregnancy impossible. My life was changing before my eyes. At this traumatic moment, MSK became my safe haven, guiding me through treatment, fertility preservation, and now continuing through survivorship. In January of 2013, after radiation treatment at the main campus, I was informed by one of the nurses that my doctor needed to see me. Never something you really want to hear. I entered an exam room, though, to find it full of rose petals and my now husband down on his knee, saying, "This place saved your life. You are the love of my life. Will you marry me?" 12 years later, my husband and I have 2 beautiful children born via gestational carrier and reside blocks away from MSK on the Upper East Side. I spend much of my time volunteering throughout the various facilities of MSK, talking to patients, helping them navigate the complexities of processing their life changes. The message I have taken out of my journey was always to make someone else's tomorrow better than my yesterday. It is with that affirmation that I wholeheartedly support MSK's proposed new pavilion.
Thank you very much. Now, Andrew Kung.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Kung. I have the privilege of being the chair of the Department of Pediatrics at Memorial Sloan Kettering. And I very much appreciated Chair Riley's question about the youngest patients at MSK because they are our charge. And this is being September, this is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I think it's salient to bring up 2 points. Cancer, though rare in children, is still the leading cause of death in children today. And the second point is that MSK is actually the largest pediatric cancer program in the nation. We see 50% more new patients than St. Jude does. We have the privilege at MSK of caring for over 150 children with cancer every single day in our York facility. We pride ourselves with having the broadest number of treatment options for anyone who comes across New York City or the greater New York area to seek our care. But increasingly, the sophistication of cutting-edge medicine is just challenging to deliver in an aging infrastructure. And so the need for the new pavilion is critical for our commitment to these youngest and most vulnerable patients. Now, in addition to developing treatments for patients, one of the chief responsibilities I have as a chair is to ensure the safety and the well-being of the children and the families entrusted to our care. And based on the plans and the discussions about the mitigation and abatement measures that go above the minimum, I have no concerns whatsoever about our patients continuing to come through the neighborhood to seek care in our hospital. I would add that this confidence in the safety is not just a professional opinion, but also a personal conviction. I'm the proud father of a 3-year-old.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you to wrap it up, please. Thank you. I want our
So,
to come back.
on a very personal level, thank you today, Councilwoman Menon, for your continued vigilance on behalf of those of us that live, work, and see patients in the Upper East Side.
Thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to Chair Riley.
Thank you, Councilmember Menon, and thank you to the panel for testifying today. Thank you. You're now excused. We're going to move to online testimony, and once again, if there are anyone in here that did not testify and wants to testify, please just see one of the sergeants for a speaker's card. Thank you so much. The first panel for our online testimony consists of Ashley Williams, Akshay Ganju, Kim Rubenstein, and Lovan Devok. We'll begin with Ashley Williams. Ms. Williams, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Ashley Williams. If you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
I'm here. Hello. I want to thank the council for recognizing me today. This is my son who just turned 10 and is so excited to come back to school this year. He said, "Mom, I can't wait to run track. I'm going to run the 800." And instead of thinking, that's great, I thought, dear God, he's going to be huffing and puffing and trying to breathe, practicing outside in an environment where he will most certainly inhale dust and asbestos from the demolition that will last for a year, not to mention construction that will go on for 6 years. Now, if we know the mitigation efforts involve hosing down cars and sidewalks and equipping our AC with special filters, what do I do with my child as he goes to school, as he comes back from school? Do I hose him off, hold him, put him in a hazmat suit? Ridiculous questions, I know, but this is the position we're in. We have all had our families touched by cancer. My grandmother died at 63 from pancreatic cancer, and maybe if she'd been at MSK, she would have made it, but she did not. That said, we know MSK does valuable work. But if it turns out that their work is done in a building that creates a cancer cluster right next to them of our children, hundreds of children, that's unconscionable. And I heard earlier on MSK saying we want to increase our share of the cancer market. Is that the way we want to think about this? We know you're doing great work. This is not the way to do it. Please, please ensure that there's a way to do this where the children are safe. It's not about lip service, it's about action. We want our children to be able to learn, to play, to go to recess and walk around the neighborhood and not have their young lives destroyed. Please do not approve this application for rezoning. It does not.
Your time has expired. Thank you.
It's not a not in my backyard situation. It's about doing better by the school children
Thank
and
you, Ms.
residents
Williams.
who are in the back. Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to call on Akshay Ganju, and I would just ask everyone if you could please keep it to 2 minutes because we have a lot of people online to testify. Thank you. Ms. Ganju, you may begin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Dr. Akshay Ganju. I'm a primary care physician. I live at 1320 York Avenue, which is a Cornell building. It's the Helmsley Tower. I have a 2-year-old boy who eats off the sidewalk and a 5-year-old girl who just started kindergarten at PS 183 and will live her entire elementary school education for the next 6 years in a construction zone. I love MSK. Dr. Drebin actually saved the life of one of my patients with pancreatic cancer literally 6 weeks ago. But obviously I have concerns about the height of this building. The NYP buildings, Helmsley, which is huge if you look at the street, is 37 stories high. This building is 31 stories and is going to be more than 1.5 times taller than that, let alone Cornell's main hospital. Let's be serious. There's no way you guys are going to take the concerns of some parents over the concerns of Sloan Kettering. But let's also be serious. Sloan Kettering is amazing and saves a lot of lives. It's also trying to make money. They're building a surgical center to attract patients not just from the city, but from around the country and around the world so they can get more grant funding. They can get more payments for surgeries, which are highly refunded, and build more skyscrapers. I mean, it's a business too. It's a great business, but they want to expand. They want to grow a share of the cancer market, and they want to have the tallest hospital in the world. And so if they're going to invest $2 billion to build a building that will make them a return on more than $2 billion, they should be willing to invest in 183. And I think that's more than just have some noise canceling headphones for the kids and an air traffic monitor. It's invest some significant money. I would say upfront, at a bare minimum, they should pay for a consultant for the school because we don't know what we're asking for, what we're doing, or have gone through this before. Sloan Kettering should hire a consultant, an independent consultant that can help guide the parents of 183 through this situation, figure out what we need. And beyond just mitigating the issues with the school, can it invest in the school? Can it build a playground? Can it take 0.0?
Your time has expired. Thank you, Dr. Ganju. Next, we're going to ask Ken Rubenstein to unmute. And please begin. Thank you. Kim Rubenstein, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may.
I hear you. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Kim Rubenstein. I have a son who's a student at PS 183. He is just in second grade now. I want to echo what a lot of the other parents have been speaking about. PS 183 has been a place of peace and learning for my young son. He has many friends there, and the staff has been wonderful. When I found out the news about this project, my world fell apart. I was devastated. I was looking into moving. I just couldn't imagine that his little perfect school was going to be literally overshadowed by this behemoth of a building. I think that we all know that this project is going to happen in one way or another. But I think that a lot of concessions need to be made on the part of MSK to assure the parents that their kids won't be in a danger zone, literally. We're going to have to deal with years of rerouting, dust, noise. Kids play in that yard. My son plays with a ball. The hands go in the mouth. What kinds of toxins will he be exposed to? MSK should really do things to ensure that the school is safe, clean, and the air is clean. I like what the doctor before me suggested as far as a consultant, but we need air purifiers. We need to know what this tracking is. They say, MSK, from what I heard, they say things very vaguely. There's nothing concrete that I really heard to make me feel safe. So I hope that concessions could be made both on the height of the building, which is an absolute monstrosity, and to keep our kids safe at the school. Thank you.
Thank you. So Lo Van der Valk, you have to accept to be promoted in order to testify. You did not accept. So we'll call you on the next panel. We're going to move on to the second panel, which consists of Benjamin Wetzler, Claire Leo, Michael Feinberg, and Julie Clark. And we're going to begin first with Michael Feinberg. Michael, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Sorry. Michael Feinberg, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Michael.
Great. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Michael Feinberg. I've lived in the city for the past 12 years, and I'm here to express my strong support for the expansion of Memorial Sloan Kettering on the Upper East Side. MSK has long been a leader in cancer treatment, research, and education. In fact, a friend of mine received life-saving care at MSK, and I've seen firsthand the incredible dedication and expertise that the staff bring to their work. The expansion of this world-renowned institution would ensure that more patients, like my friend, can receive the critical treatment they need. The expansion will allow MSK to further enhance patient care, meet the growing demand for services, and continue its groundbreaking research. At a time when cancer diagnoses are increasing, expanding the capacity and capabilities of MSK is not just necessary, it's urgent. As a longtime resident of the city, I believe this proposal will benefit the entire community, both by strengthening healthcare and by contributing to the local economy through job creation and support for small businesses. I urge the committee to approve this proposal. It represents an investment in the future of healthcare and the well-being of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to go into Benjamin Wetzler. Benjamin, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much to the members of the committee for taking the time and listening to my testimony. My name is Ben Wetzler. I am a lifetime East Sider. I was the Democratic Party district leader for 6 years for the area that covers the MSK site. So I have been in touch with the members of the community and deeply kind of connected to their interests and their concerns. And I really just wanted to take this time today to say thank you to Councilmember Menon for how great she has been in engaging with everybody in the neighborhood on the potential for quality of life impacts and making sure that they really mitigate it, because I do think that it's very important that this application move forward. I don't think that there's a single person in New York City who has not known somebody who suffered from cancer and who needed to get life-saving care. And the work that MSK does and the investment that they're planning on making in expanding that capacity is really something that we absolutely need to move forward with in our city. And so I want to say that I really hope that we can come to an agreement between the community and MSK on how we can do this. And I really wanted to thank Councilmember Menon for how great she's been on that. Thank you.
Thank you. We lost Claire Leoa, so we're going to go to Julie Clark. Julie, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here today. I'm representing the PS23 PTA and the school. I'm here to remind members of the City Council, including Representative Menon, that should this project move forward, you are holding MSK and the construction team to the highest standards for everyone's health, safety, and well-being. Given that the construction site is adjacent to school, it is important to ensure that all work performed in a manner that is protective of children who are at a heightened risk of adverse health outcomes related to environmental exposures. We ask MSK provide the school with mitigation measures to alleviate potential air quality issues during the duration of construction and demolition, such as an upgrade in our building AC units to high-grade filters. We ask that MSK partner with us in making the air in and around PS 183 and the community safe during this lengthy project. We understand by entering into the agreement of the community board entering into the agreement with Community Board 8, MSK assured that it would act in good faith as a neighbor. For as long as PS 183 and MSK have existed, there has always been a relationship. MSK employs a large number of 183 families and in turn provide visiting fellows, scientists, doctors, nurses, and employees with a world-class public school education for their children to attend during their time. Many of us feel that we have been an afterthought when it comes to this upcoming project. We recognize that in the past you've been supportive of our school and sponsored some of our community events. We ask for the same support with this construction project. In no way does PS 183 not support the mission of MSK. We continue to ask for more detailed transparency both from MSK and Councilmember Menon's office to assure families and staff that measures have been carefully considered to ensure safety of the community during demolition and construction. Many of the things I have spoken about have been addressed by others today. The PS 183 Community Administration wants assurance that community safety during this lengthy construction
Your time has expired.
is your top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no questions for this panel is now excused. The third panel I'm going to call up consists of Laura Jackson, Jashir Kapoor, Sandy Moy, Moyun Son, and Lo Van Der Valk. We can begin with Mr. Lo Van Der Valk. You may begin, Mr. Lo Van Der.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Lo Van Der Valk, and I represent the views of Carnegie Hill neighbors. We have been invited by the neighbors group to weigh in on this project. First, let me say we greatly respect MSK's impressive and important work. However, in considering the current project to build a new hospital to a height of 594 feet without the usual setbacks required by zoning because of this special project, we hold out the hope that a solution for a lower building can still be found. This height far exceeds the height of other hospitals in the Upper East Side. We note that this height maxes out all the available square footage so generously allowed by the large-scale community facility development, leaving only 88 square feet unused. This massive building adversely impacts the school and neighbors in the low-scale residential buildings of 66th Street block. We believe the height can be mitigated. As city planner George Janes, working for the neighbors, has presented two alternatives that would both distribute the massing of the proposed pavilion tower over 2 blocks. That includes the Memorial Hospital to its north. It is noted that the proposed MSK pavilion plans will link the two buildings by including a patient bridge at 2 levels. And the first alternative would reduce the height of the pavilion from 600 about to 432 feet, with the remaining feet enlarging the Memorial Hospital from 273 feet to 439 feet. This will reduce the percentage of space available. And that could be ameliorated by increasing the height by a second alternative that would increase the height of the Memorial Hospital. We hope that the City Council can discuss this with MSK and reach a better solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to call Ms. Moyon Son. Moyon, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You may begin.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dr. Moen's son, and I'm a physician. I live in the building. I also work at one of the local hospitals in the neighborhood. I have 2 young boys. They're ages 5 and 8, and they both attend PS 183, which is the public school elementary school that everyone's talked about. That's literally one building over from the proposed construction. My dad died of lung cancer after a 5-year battle, and I've taken care of many patients with cancer, and I've had many friends who have battled cancer. So I very much admire MSK for the amazing work that they do. So I'm not here to argue that MSK is not an amazing institution that does an amazing job of taking care of really challenging cancer cases. I'm here in full opposition of their proposed pavilion and their rezoning requests. I was really disappointed today because the MSK presenter spoke a lot about, how they spend so much time building trust and engagement with the community. And I will say that there has been very little engagement up until very recently with the school. Many parents didn't even know what was going on. And so that's why we have even more concerns about making sure that they're really going to do their due diligence to make sure that this construction is safe. And make sure that our kids are out of ways harm. I completely agree for the need for an environmental advocate that is independent of MSK and their affiliates to really reassure parents that everything is going to be as safe as possible. We can talk forever about the potential short-term and long-term impacts of the construction, the air quality, asbestos, et cetera. I was a student at Stuyvesant High School during 9/11, and I still have friends to this day who are battling chronic conditions and cancer from our exposures. But what this hearing really is about is the rezoning request. The 2 biggest problems are the height proposed and the lack of a setback. The problem with the height is that not only is most of it not even having to do with patient care, but we spent the construction is going to take such a long time. It's going to probably take longer than my kids are even in the school. The second issue is that
the time is expired.
That 14% of the patients are only from New York City and Manhattan, yet I'm not sure why the capacity needs to increase all on the Upper East Side. The lack of a
Thank you so much. You can submit the rest of your testimony to landusetestimony.com. Thank you. landusetestimony@council.gov. Next, I'll be calling on Laura Jackson. Ms. Jackson, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
You can begin.
Okay. So my name is Laura Jackson. I'm unknown caller. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I am a 32-year resident of East 66th Street and have been following MSK's proposal since the task force meetings with Community Board 8 began 17 months ago. I remain unconvinced that this massive out-of-scale project has proven itself justifiable. MSK's major premise throughout this process has been based on the findings of a CDC study from which MSK has cherry-picked some data points and ignored the rest. What's being ignored is the fact that the study concludes that there is an immediate need for an increased focus on cancer prevention, not early screening, cancer prevention. The pavilion utterly fails to address the purpose of the study on which it is based. I'd also like to emphasize that MSK is not the only cancer care institution in New York City. There are dozens of hospitals in the tri-state area that treat cancer, including top-rated hospitals on the Upper East Side, such as Mount Sinai and New York Presbyterian. The burden of treatment does not fall on MSK. As for the building itself, I ask that the City Council hold MSK to the second condition outlined in CB8's resolution that reads, a design that meets the needs of MSK to care for the projected increase in cancer patients in a lower profile structure than currently proposed. That said, I fully support the idea of a two-phased approach for this development so that actual needs can be assessed closer to 2050. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Jazhir Kapoor.
Hello.
Yes, you may begin.
Hi. My name is Dr. Jayashree Kapoor. I'm a physician specializing in pediatric rehabilitation, living at Hardenbrook House on East 66th Street between York and First. I'm a former NYPH chief resident and a former Weill Cornell attending. While construction of a hospital is undoubtedly a commendable endeavor aimed at enhancing healthcare accessibility, we need to carefully consider the impact of such construction on the health and well-being of residents in surrounding areas. Prolonged exposure to construction dust has been linked to respiratory and cardiovascular issues, including arrhythmias, heart attacks, and strokes, endangering the health and well-being of residents. For vulnerable populations, such as children, elderly, and individuals with dementia or autism, the effect of pollution, including noise pollution, can exacerbate existing physical and mental health issues. We request immediate real-time access to air quality data to allow individualized decision-making, since one size does not fit all when it comes to sensitivity to pollution, to air pollution. We request vouchers for high-quality air purifiers for those in the community. Myself, having spent over the past 2 months $800 for each Dyson air purifier and $100 per filter because I'm running my air purifier 24/7. We also request, especially for individuals who demonstrate they are at higher risk from prolonged exposure to construction dust, we request financial support from Memorial Sloan Kettering for intermittent temporary housing over the next 6 years in a quieter and less disruptive environment. Many who are elderly on fixed incomes and
the time is expired.
Thank you so much.
And telling 24/7.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Sandy Moy. After Sandy Moy, we're going to call on Gina Rasik, Dale Cohen, Beth Newman, and Masha Jafari.
You may begin.
Sandy, if you can hear me, you may begin.
Hello?
Yes, you can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, there was a connection issue. Hi, my name is Sandy Moy, and my son attends PS 183. I'm strongly opposed to the construction of the 600-foot pavilion. The size of this proposed building, nearly 600 feet, is not just excessive. It's a direct threat to the safety and well-being of the children attending PS 183. Allowing a structure of this magnitude to be built so close to an elementary school is deeply concerning. The height and scale of the project will bring significant risk to the safety of children. A construction site of this size means heavy machinery, massive cranes, and a constant flow of trucks through our streets, right next to where the children are walking and playing every day. The potential for accidents is undeniable, and the larger the project, the greater the danger. But safety isn't the only concern. The process of building a 600-foot structure will generate continuous noise, dust, and pollution for years. Children's developing lungs are especially vulnerable to fine particulates matters being released by construction. And we are talking about exposure during some of the most formative years of their lives. The scale of the building will also disrupt the learning environment of PS 183. Imagine trying to focus in a classroom with constant sound of drilling, pounding, and machinery operating just feet away. Students will face relentless noise that will hinder their ability to concentrate and perform well academically. I've been listening to some of the testimonies, and it's disturbing that it's a foregone conclusion that this will be approved without the consideration that is needed for the elementary school and the community. We have not heard from MSK any specificity to ensure that our children's safety have been thought about, or the community. I urge the panel to think about these issues before decide making a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. The next panel will consist of Gina Rasik, Dale Cohen, Beth Newman, and Masha Jafari. Gina, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Gina, if you could please unmute, you may begin. Okay, we'll come back to Gina. Dale Cohen. Dale, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my testimony. My name is Dale Cohen. I'm trained as an architect, and I both practice in the neighborhood and I also educate architects. I've lived in the neighborhood since 2008. What I'd like to know is, what is the average height of the buildings in Yorkville? It is clearly not 600 feet. Why does MSK or any other for-profit company deserve the right to blow through current zoning? Are you demolishing existing buildings? Obviously, yes. Is this how you are how are you measuring the embodied carbon of the existing structures and what we're losing and what we're gaining? Is there another way to adaptively reuse the existing structures? If it is not possible to build safely, then I don't know why the city council has approved this. You're right next to a school. This doesn't seem to make much sense to me. Is it possible to build, instead of the 600 feet up, why not take a possibility to actually take some of these spaces for the surgery spaces and the mechanicals into basements and sub-basements? How are you mitigating the already insanely congested York Avenue? What is obvious to me is that the building of these towers tower over the existing infrastructure, which is not appropriate. While I'm all for beautiful buildings as an architect, the extraordinary height of the proposed building seems better in Midtown and not Yorkville. Lastly, it seems that both MSK and the city have misplaced their priorities in terms of health of our citizens. As a city, we need to focus on healthcare, not crisis care. While some think that early detection is a real tool, it is sick care. We need to improve the American diet. We need to reduce alcohol consumption, which is largely connected to the alarming number of young people with cancer. And we need to drastically reduce the pollution of our built environment, which this will seriously contribute to. I speak as a previous MSK patient. I was not healed until I began to work with functional and integrative medicine doctors. Honestly, MSK and facilities like it are not about healthcare. They are about sick care, and we need to refocus our energies.
Your time is expired.
And remove the for-profit motive. I oppose the height of the new building. Thank you.
Ms. Cohen. Next, we're going to call on Beth Newman. Beth, if you can hear me, please unmute. Beth Newman, if you could please hear me, please unmute. Okay, let's move to Masha Jafari. Masha, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Masha, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Mahsa Jafari, and I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak. I live on the Upper East Side and have been for the past 21 years, and I'm a member of the community. And my son goes to PS 183 as a fourth grader and has been going for the past 5 years since kindergarten. I would like to echo what everyone else who has been opposing this construction has been saying up to now. And I have to say it's very disconcerting to hear from MSK team members suggesting that they've been involved with the community in detail, which is absolutely not true. To date, we fail to have received any concrete or comprehensive planning, for lack of a better word, of any kind from MSK. There has been no mitigations in process, nothing that has been shared with us. How are they going to keep our children safe? How are they going to address the traffic with the construction and afterwards? Why does it need to be this tall, basically groundbreaking in the neighborhood? How are they going to mitigate the air quality, the noise pollution? And as I believe it was Laura who addressed the fact that they are cherry picking on the data from CDC in proposing the need for this new construction, because frankly, what they are doing is pretty, with the asbestos that's going to be in the environment, it's going to be contributing to, unfortunately, future cancers, and no one can address that at this moment. We would like to ask the council members to please help us bridge a better dialogue or have some sort
Your time
of
has expired.
compensatory mechanism.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm going to ask Beth Newman and Gina Rizig to please accept the invitation to come online so we could have you testify. I'm going to move on to the next panel. The next panel consists of Lindsay McCormick, Jason Kwa, Josh Zipman, and Rosanna Ma. We can begin first with Lindsay McCormick. Lindsay, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Yes. Hi. Thanks so much for allowing me to give some testimony. I live in Queens. I could join this hearing because of a friend of mine who was treated at MSK and passed away a couple months ago, leaving 2 children. But she had wonderful care there, and it allowed her to live some extra years and be with her children. So I know access to quality care was so important to her, and I wanted to come and just really say that we need to plan for our people and we need to plan for our health. And this sounds like a really important building for me and a really important expansion. And, MSK is a resource regionally. New York City is a regional place. And so many of us will need this care, even if we don't want it. We don't know when we will, but unfortunately, a lot of us will. So we want to have good, decent facilities for us and our loved ones. I also just really want to quick address the concerns of parents on this call, because I hear you. If there were a big building going up right next to my kid's school, I would be extremely concerned. I would want to get active and involved and push for the top quality mitigations. And I hear people are doing that, and I believe you can do that. Continue to be organized and in communication and make sure that you're getting for your kids what you need. But please don't let your agenda be hijacked by people who are more concerned about aesthetic considerations, about setbacks and height. And these are really not should not be priorities for the public health. You know, it's really about the public health and the health of kids and the health of all of us. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to call on Jason Kwa, and I just want to remind Beth and Gina to please accept to be promoted. Jason Kwa, you may begin.
You hear me? You hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So I am an internal medicine physician and an allergy immunology physician as well. I have had the privilege of taking care of many cancer patients in my career as well. I really would never question the mission of MSK. You know, they do great work. I know many people who work there who I consider colleagues and friends. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm a parent, and I have two children, young children who attend PS 183, public school 183. And to me, this is really about, you know, I think we're getting a little bit lost in the message here, because this is really about a massive construction project that is next to a school. And, you know, that's what zoning is all about, to be able to protect the community. And these rules were put in place for a reason. And we really have to think about whether we're going to protect our children here and really keep, you know, true a 5-year-old child and their right to be able to attend a public school in New York City with health and safety. That's at the heart of this issue. Again, don't question anything that MSK does, and I think their work is really important, but you cannot ignore that this is a massive construction project next to a public elementary school where 3-year-old children, 4-year-old children, I mean, this is New York City. They're running to school every day. They're scooting by to school. They're going to be playing in the play yard. And I won't go through all the points, because many people talked about the points of air quality, carcinogens in the air. All this stuff is true and is important to think about. Noise, safety for the children, shadows, all really, really important. But I just don't want us to forget what this is really about. Protecting the right of a 5-year-old child, a 4-year-old child, and their right to attend public elementary school in New York City with health and safety. The current proposal does not ensure that. And I feel confident with this council, if you can please vote no for this proposal, I feel
Your time is expired.
if re-engage with the community and we can find a path forward so that they can do their important work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Josh Zippin. Josh, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Awesome. Good afternoon. My name is Josh Zippin, and I'm a new father and resident of 436 East 66th Street. This project is happening at my doorstep. I strongly oppose this project and its current execution. No one debates, as we've heard, MSK's virtue or value in fighting cancer, but the idea that the community has been involved in this process is simply farcical. The question, what does this do to our share of the cancer market, exemplifies a capitalistic mindset that doesn't include the residents and families affected by this plan. As a new father, I'm particularly anxious about the dangers posed by asbestos and dust during the year-long demolition and the subsequent 6-year construction project. This situation has made my wife, who works in breast surgery at MSK, and I start to consider moving away from the neighborhood. Understanding that this project is likely to proceed, we've asked MSK for 4 essential accommodations: transparent air quality management, soundproof windows, an electricity subsidy, and a parking subsidy. So far, MSK has only considered soundproof windows, and their reimbursement process remains unclear. Other reasonable accommodations have been denied, which contradicts the idea that MSK is serious about being a community partner. This indicates a troubling disregard for the safety, financial well-being, and impact on local residents. This project, as is, should not be approved. If it proceeds, MSK must significantly improve its commitment to the safety and well-being of those most affected. Genuine community involvement and respect for local concerns are essential to any project of this magnitude, and it cannot be merely performative, as some of today's testimony has seemed. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Next, we'll call Rosanna Ma. Rosanna, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hi, thank you. I'm Rosanna Ma. I'm a single mother of a 3rd grader who attends PS 183. I've lived in the area for 10 years and recently became a homeowner at 1175 York Avenue. To be clear, I support the mission of MSK, but I'm objecting to this project for various reasons. Number one, the lack of transparency and open communication by MSK, the lack of community engagement by MSK to the neighbors and families impacted by this massive proposal, and most importantly, the apparent lack of mitigation efforts as it relates to the noise and air pollution generated by this project. Regarding the lack of community engagement, I live 3 blocks away. I'm a full-time working lawyer, and I'm very involved in the school as a volunteer. But what I've noticed is very few parents know about this. It's interesting to hear about MSK's significant outreach efforts to the community for 18 months because it is clearly a failure. A lot of the families here are blindsided by this project. Next, as a layperson, and I'm no expert on air quality, what I can say is when school started last week and we started to walk to school, you can see how the air is dirty and it's gross. And my son was like, "What's that smell?" And I was like, "I think that's the project." We decided to get off York Avenue and walk on First Avenue instead. So my question to city council members is, how is this safe? My question to MSK is, would you want to live here? Would you want to go to school here? Would you want to walk past this area? It's really disturbing. As far as traffic, that's another story, but it's dangerous to walk to school. It's a rush in the morning and in the afternoon. We're squeezing in 2 directions to make our way to school. And it's really very little accountability by MSK here. And I think that as much as we love and support MSK and what it stands for, I really don't want us, the children, the families, and the teachers to develop cancer as a result of this project. And from what I can see right now, there is very little trust.
Your time is expired.
MSK is saying.
Thank you, Ms. Ma. Next, we're going to call DJ Faulkson. DJ Faulkson, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hi, I'm a resident. I live at 82nd in York. I'm not a cancer patient, but I have Crohn's disease. I'm at an increased risk later in life. I'll also mention I'm becoming a new father in the next 5 or 6 weeks with a daughter on the way. I had a close friend of my wife's who had a very rare liver cancer get consultation there before she died in her 30s. I also have a friend and a colleague, both diagnosed with breast cancer. They were both under 40. Very sad cases, but places like MSK are doing research and treating people like this. And the fact that I, as still a pretty young person, know all these people getting cancer, I think accords with MSK's presentation on cancer rates over time. I think it's an absolute treasure in the city as a whole. It's hard to think of institutions that are more emblematic of what NYC is about, human development, progress, bringing us into the future. I don't think it's good when people are fighting against the expansion of a world-class cancer treatment center. And you maybe need to ask yourself if that's really the argument you want to be making. I think the neighborhood's well appointed. It can support the project. Yes, it requires construction. Things need to be built. We can't keep the neighborhood frozen in amber and have it unchanged forever. Buildings do need to go up. They need to be changed. They need to be torn down over time. I still care about NYC kind of being a shining city on a hill, an example to the rest of the country. How do we grow? How do we adapt, be a cultural driver? And that includes the medical sciences. Otherwise, we just cede that to other cities that do choose to grow such institutions and keep innovating. We can't have constant intransigence and pushback against any changes in our neighborhoods. So I support this expansion. I think it's great that we have a bigger cancer treatment facility. More to the point, if there's more space to treat cancer patients, it obviously means a better quality of life for those patients.
Thank you, DJ. Next, I'm going to call up again Gina Rasig. Gina, if you can hear me, please unmute. You may begin. Jenna Rasig. Jenna, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. Jenna, you have to accept the promotion in order to testify. I'll move on from Jenna. Beth Newman. Beth, can you please accept the promotion, unmute, and please begin?
I'm sorry, is this for Jenna Reisig?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. I
just heard you. I would like to speak because I am a parent of 2 children at PS 183. And we have loved the school. We've loved the area. My husband is a doctor at Weill Cornell. So we have great respect for hospitals. And I have a lot of family and friends who were all cared for and saved by MSK. So I have tremendous respect for them as well. However, they have been very dismissive of the families and students at the school who are just 2 doors away from the building. Just because it is a good mission that MSK has does not provide it the right to destroy our kids' health and their ability to learn. I greatly appreciate everything MSK does, but they've offered no specifics to us on how they're going to help our children make sure that they do not get asbestos poisoning, that they are breathing clean air. They say they'll monitor the air, but what does that even mean? And what would that mean for our children's learning? So they're not taking any actionable steps. They're just doing a lot of talking and not actually supporting us. School has already begun, and they haven't done anything to really fix our problems. So while I highly support MSK, I just, please, I'm begging you to require that they change the profile of their tower and that they pay attention to the community that they're in and make sure they don't cause cancer in our kids.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Next, I'm going to call Miss Beth Newman again. Beth, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin. All right. Beth, if you cannot unmute, you can also submit your testimony to us online at landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Thank you. The last panel I will be calling up consists of Allison Clean, this is a tough one, Jagroni, Mr. Jagroni, and Elrado Mema. And we'll start first with Allison Clean. Allison, if you can, Klein, excuse me. Allison, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Allison Klein. My son just started kindergarten at PS 183. My father is a longtime pediatric cancer doctor, big supporter of MSK, St. Jude's, all of our major, cancer organizations, especially those that focus on our youngest. And so, of course, as a parent in the community, I echo the same concerns. And I just want to reemphasize what a gentleman earlier said. This isn't about MSK or whether or not they should be treating cancer or in New York City or on the Upper East Side. It's about whether a 600-foot tower in the middle of Lenox Hill is really appropriate and whether or not that is actually an altruistic mission or if it is to fill a budget. As somebody who's worked in real estate finance over the years, when you're building a building, you are always going to build to the max allowable size. That is just what is generally what is going to make sense economically, and whether or not it means that you're leasing out part of the building to third party or just using it for other revenue generating purposes. I imagine that is at least a portion of the reason for the need for a building that is significantly taller than Weill Cornell. And so, I agree with the other parents. This group, unfortunately, is not going to stop a project that's seemingly been sort of like railroaded through and it feels like it's already approved, whether or not it is. But when it was approved by the District 8, they were supposed to have serious reasons for why the 600 feet was needed, and they were supposed to revise the profile of the building. None of that has happened. And, there should be, I just want to re-echo, significant financial contributions to the school that Martin and Kim and Luann and all of our administrators and the PTA have tirelessly worked to build an extraordinary community. That school needs to be promised that it's going to be given everything it needs to thrive, including, noise canceling, air filters, all of those things. But also, I just wanted to add one thing I haven't heard is why can't the work be done at night? similar to what was forced for HSF.
Time is
and I
expired.
think the answer is
Thank you. Next, we're going to call on Georgiani. Georgiani, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can you please teach me how to say your first name?
It's George, but I go by George. Yorgoni is the last name. And yeah, my wife, I think, was coming up right after me, or Alda Mema. I'll speak on behalf of both of us. My wife is a doctor in the neighborhood as well at Cornell. Greatly support the mission of MSK as well. I've had family who's died because of cancer, so very, very close to that as well. No questions around the mission of MSK, of course, but just wanted to echo what the other parents in the neighborhood have voiced as concerns. My daughter goes to PS 183 and my son is 2 years old, and we'll be going there hopefully soon as well. And we're greatly concerned with the lack of communication. I think we've recently found out that there was asbestos in the buildings that are being demolished. And I think in terms of compensation or remediation procedures, I don't think there's been enough said in specificity from MSK as to how they plan to mediate or mitigate some of the risks to the children at PS 183. So, for instance, there are options to I don't know if relocating the school somewhere in the neighborhood is possible, but perhaps closing some of the open areas, the yard that they where they go and play every day, could be turned into an indoor playground. Or there are a lot of mitigation options that could be discussed and talked about prior to the approval of this project. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. So again, just support the MSK mission. I don't think there's enough. Not enough has been done to kind of voice all the parents' concerns and the community concerns here. Just to echo what the other parents said. Thanks again.
Thank you. Mr. George, you said your wife was coming up next. Is that Aralda Mema?
Yeah, that's right. She asked me to speak on behalf of us, both of us.
So she doesn't want to testify?
Correct.
Thank you. I lied. We have another person signed up to testify, 2 people. Are you calling people in here to testify? Please call. We're going to call on Mr. Rohit, and we have an unknown caller ending in 0717. So we'll begin first with Rohit. If you can hear me, please unmute. Rohit?
Yeah, hi. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to speak here today. Again, after listening to the whole thing, no doubt MSK has done great work in terms of cancer care itself. No doubt about that. But again, as a parent, my concerns remain, as the other parents have expressed here, that cancer care is changing. And MSK, when they put up a structure like this, they need to fully address the needs of the community, not only the projected numbers that they are proposing to treat with this new pavilion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I'll call on the unknown caller, 0717. It's pound 9, right? That's how you unmute? How you unmute again? Pound 9? Wait, hold on. Okay. There's no one else online then. All right. Okay. So I'll just stand at ease. If there is anyone else who hasn't testified in the room that wants to testify, please see one of the sergeant at arms. And counsel, I'll just stand at ease for 30 seconds to see if there's anyone online that still wants to testify. All right. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify on LUs 132 and through 136 regarding the MSK Pavilion rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use, and other council staff, and the Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.